This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Partly cloudy and 33 with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
From chips to replacements, make Complete Windscreens your insurer repairer of choice. CompleteWindscreens.com.au.
A man accused of raping a 12-year-old girl on a southern suburbs train remains in custody after facing court. The 21-year-old's accused of sexually assaulting the girl on the Seaford Line train last Thursday and then following her off the train at Marion. CCTV and MetroCard records help police identify him. A home detention report's been ordered with another court date next week. The driver accused of being involved in a bus crash which killed 10 wedding guests in the New South Wales Hunter Valley has been charged with multiple new offences. Jack Hahn has details.
Brett Andrew Button has now been charged with 26 new offences. These include 10 charges of manslaughter for each of the victims who were killed and 16 counts of furious driving causing bodily harm, which relate to the manner in which Button was allegedly driving in the moments leading to the crash in the Hunter Valley in June of last year. This is a significant upgrade in the eyes of the law. If found guilty, the maximum sentence available for these fresh charges alone is over 280 years in prison.
The Barossa will host today's stage opener for the 2024 Men's Tour Down Under. The cyclists will cover 144 k's while completing 3 loops starting at Tanunda. Commentator Phil Liggett will be keeping a close eye on a quick-step rider.
Somebody who can do pretty much everything is a guy called Julien Alaphilippe. He's a Frenchman. He came here 10 years ago. It was the very first World Tour race he ever rode, and in the 10 years that's gone by, he's been twice a world champion, and he's led the Tour de France, and he's done just about everything he could do.
A US-owned cargo ship has been struck by a missile from Iranian-backed Houthi rebels. There are no injuries despite a fire breaking out. The US and UK have been carrying out strikes on Houthi targets during recent days. The consumer watchdog's warning it could sue a large supermarket chain for tricking consumers about bogus bargains. Gabriel Hodson explains.
Was $3, now only $2. You've heard it before and it sounds pretty good, but what if that product was only $1 not that long ago? The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission is investigating so-called was now pricing, a practice where prices are overinflated for a short period so that any drop, however small, can be perceived as a bargain. The regulator has told the Financial Review that a large supermarket is in its sights, and without naming names, the ACCC says it's looking into legal action within the next 12 months. While the Commission says it has no power to investigate allegations of supermarket price gouging, it can do something about deceptive behaviour.
An arrest warrant has been issued for former AFL player agent Ricky Nixon after he failed to appear at the Melbourne Magistrates Court. The 58-year-old's accused of selling fake football signed by Melbourne Demons players, telling buyers their money would go to a children's charity. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
There's plenty of stock ready for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's start with tennis. Alex de Minaur is through to the Australian Open second round after his opponent retired hurt. Jordan Tunbridge was courtside at Melbourne Park.
A shaky start to Alex de Minaur's Australian Open campaign, losing a first-set tiebreaker against Milos Raonic.
The nerves comes from playing an opponent like Milos. You've got no rhythm, and I do believe I lost that first set due to that. Just got tired in the big moments.
The 10th seed bounced back to take the second 6-3 before Raonic retired injured during the third. De Minaur declaring he wants revenge over his next opponent, Matteo Arnaldi, who helped Italy to defeat Australia in last year's Davis Cup final. Also overnight, Aussie Rinky Hijikata lost a 5th set tiebreaker to 24th seed Jan-Lennard Struff, while two-time champion Naomi Osaka went down to Caroline Garcia in straight sets.
Let's go to cricket. The Hobart Hurricanes have wrapped up their BBL season with a 7-run win against the Melbourne Stars at the MCG overnight. The Hurricanes made 8 for 187 from their 20 overs thanks to half-centuries from openers Matt Wade and Ben McDermott. And despite an unbeaten half-century from Bo Webster, the Stars fell short, meaning they fall to 6th on the table while the Hurricanes move up to finish 5th. In some soccer at the Asian Cup, Iraq has beaten Indonesia 3-1. And the Tour Down Under starts today with the stage beginning from Tanunda and will test all competitors with a 144-kilometre ride. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Jayco Adelaide's factory sale has a van for every budget, with savings up to $3,000. Hurry, ends Saturday.
Partly cloudy and 33 today, more of the same tomorrow, 24. Thursday, partly cloudy, 25, and warmer for Friday, 30. At the moment, 26. More news as it happens on 5AA.
I was just doing my job. I didn't think I'd get injured.
The doctor said it was a routine procedure? Right.
The car came out of nowhere and it smashed right into us.
At DBH Lawyers, we're here to listen to your story. Our team of local South Australian lawyers will help you navigate the law and find the best way forward. We're with you. We're for you. We're DBH Lawyers. dbh.com.au.
How easily could you save hundreds off your energy bills? That easy. Switch out your gas or electric hot water system for an energy-efficient heat pump with EcoVantage. Then sit back and save up to 70% on your water heating costs. And get it supplied and installed for as little as $0, thanks to government-facilitated subsidies. Yep, new hot water system from $0 that saves you hundreds. Pump your energy bills down with ecovantage.com.au.
Steinborner Automotive in Gawler, Nooriutpur and Clare has always been well worth the trip, even more so with their 40th birthday sale. Steinborner has purchased over 400 certified vehicles, SUVs and 4x4s, all with free roadside assist, and ripped $500,000 off normal prices across the range with $1,500 trade-in bonus on all trade-ins. Plus deals on new and demo Hyundai, Ford and Mitsubishi. Visit steinborner.com.au.
Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
7 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Tuesday on 5AA Breakfast. It is the 16th of January. The commentator's curse lives on and strong. I think the equivalent for breakfast radio announcers was dedicating the entirety of yesterday's program to the complete absence of the forecast hot and dry summer, and then turning up this morning to find it is right now 26.4 degrees outside in the city. It's going to be a warm one, maybe belated. We forget sometimes, maybe I do, that sometimes the serious hot weather comes in the back half of summer. We're at the halfway point, and it's the second coolest summer in the last 30 years. You don't have to go back too far to find the record-breaking day of the 24th of January 2019, the hottest day in Adelaide on record at 46.6 degrees. So maybe there's some days that'll drag up the average. We're not getting any 40 days this week, but mornings like this make you feel that perhaps a normal summer is still in the offing. We have a massive program today. I'm looking forward to it. On the theme of summer, we'll be speaking with Matisse, the owner of the Sunnyside Cafe down at the Esplanade, Henley Beach, to talk about the seasonality of trading at the beach in a summer that hasn't been all that was promised. What does it mean when you're relying on booming trade for a forecast summer that was expected to be drier and hotter than anything we've seen in a number of years? We'll find out very shortly. We're off to the red carpets for the 75th Emmy Awards. Jacqueline Robson will be there. We've, of course, got a number of two local hopefuls, one very local in Sarah Snook. She, of course, went to the Scotch College here in Adelaide. And how's this? After 8 o'clock, we'll be chatting with her drama teacher at Scotch College. She won a People's Choice Award yesterday. She's been lauded for her work on the incredible television program Succession. Very much a local success story, perhaps adding another chapter today in what is a stacked category for lead actress at the Emmys today. There's another Australian hope for what was also an incredible piece of acting, and again, a People's Choice Award winner. The role of Diana in The Crown, played by Elizabeth Debicki. So, two massive chances today on form, based on the awards in the lead up to the day. It suggests two major gongs coming Australia's way, but we'll talk more and get a sense of what's happening on the red carpet after 6:30. We'll talk federal politics. The biggest story for the first half of this year in federal politics is going to be Stage 3 tax cuts. There's no way around it. If you don't understand it, if you're worried about it, if you've got a strong opinion on it, we're going to jump into it today after 7:30. We'll be speaking with Susan Stone, the Credit Union SA Chair of Economics at Uni SA, and Zach De Silva, Nine Radio's federal politics reporter. So we'll talk about it from the political angle, the risks for the Albanese government, but also some of the economics of this, because the tear-away emotive headlines are all about, is this affordable? Is it simply a tax cut for the rich? But if you dig down into minutiae, there's some really interesting questions around what does this mean in an environment where inflation's not yet at the target band. What does it mean in terms of relief for people who've been punished the most by the Reserve Bank raising interest rates? It's those sorts of people, homeowners, that will be getting tax cuts largely in this bracket, should it come to pass in June. So we'll talk more about that after 7:30 today. And also, the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett, 80 years strong. He'll be on the program after 8:30 to talk the start of the Tour Down Under, just after 11 o'clock today. The men's race, of course, the women's race we spoke about a little bit yesterday, but the men's race kicks off later this morning. Phil Liggett will be there and he'll be on the program after 8:30. Our number, 8223 You can text on the text line as well, 0448081395, or jump on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. We've got news headlines coming up for you in just a moment.
When you think of single malt Scotch whisky, you might imagine Scotland's green hills, her fresh babbling brooks, and rows of oak barrels. But you can get the same feeling right here in Adelaide when you walk down the aisles at Powell's. Sam and Jamie from Parafield Airport Liquor Store know every drop on the shelf. They can guide you through Scotland's best whisky labels and the best from around the globe, all under one roof. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Powell's, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Hi, I'm Jo. I'm a registered nurse and I work with St Louis Home Care as a clinical care coordinator.
St Louis was started by my great-grandmother and is one big, happy family with lovely staff just like Jo.
The people that work for St Louis are very loving and caring.
Whether it's personal care, preparing meals, shopping, home maintenance or social activities, we help people stay at home for longer.
If you're interested, come and join us.
Google St Louis Home Care today.
Is your bloated belly making you feel fat and miserable? Introducing new Caruso's Bloaties. Caruso's Bloaties contains peppermint and ginger, which are traditionally used in Western herbal medicine to relieve belly bloating, plus digestive enzymes to help your body digest lactose and fat. So if you're fed up with your bloated belly making you feel fat and miserable, try Caruso's Bloaties today. Caruso's Bloaties is available from leading pharmacies and health stores. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
Jayco Adelaide Factory Sale is now on. Prices starting from just $23,590, hot summer savings up to $3,000. There's a van for every budget and adventure. Visit Jayco Adelaide today. Hurry, ends soon.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
13 after 6, very much summery this morning, over 26 degrees to start the day. Makes you feel like going to the beach. We're heading right now. Matisse Fanzati is the owner of the Sunnyside Cafe, just off Henley Square. It's a beautiful spot. Been there a number of times myself. Matisse, I imagine you generally find yourself cheering for a hot day, people coming down to the beach, but if at 26 degrees at 6 o'clock, does that start hurting your early coffee sales?
It's a bit of a misconception. The hotter it is, the busier we're going to be.
Okay.
I mean, 26 is essentially the sweet spot for us. I mean, that's where, people are most comfortable. But anything higher than that, really, you're actually taking a hit.
So actually, you've been pretty happy with this summer because it has been to this point in time the second coolest summer in 30 years.
It's not too bad, but the thing that really gets you is the wind and the rain. So I think we've been fairly lucky with the wind, and every summer's different. And you just take it as it comes.
So then, what is your is this your peak time of year still? I just can't get the image out of my head of thousands of people at Henley Square, and it's sort of not necessarily being as good for business that it looks like from the outside.
I think so far, like this year's been pretty good. I mean, there's no such thing as normal anymore after coming out of COVID and with inflation and everything else. So, I mean, after coming out of the last few years, I think we're looking fairly positive.
So that's interesting. So you see, even in terms of people going to buy the morning coffee or grabbing breakfast, you've seen a change in how people behave given the cost of living pressures that exist?
There's definitely been a hit there. I mean, we try to be as accessible to everyone and try to look after the locals. I think where you see the big difference is there is a big decrease in, say, outside visitors and tourists and that. But, our focus has always been on the locals, so that's what's kept us going.
So 6, what are we at? 6:15 now. What time do you guys usually get things all kick-started in the morning?
We're in there at 7:30. So I think today's going to be a busy day, and every weekend's been absolutely, chockers. But, we keep things going through winter as well, so we're pretty happy.
It's a beautiful spot you've got down there, and you do a great job. Matisse, thanks for chatting with us this morning, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you.
Matisse Vansardi, the owner of the Sunnyside Cafe down there at Henley Beach. Makes a little bit of sense, I suppose. You're going for a hot breakfast on a 35-degree day, maybe less likely. Although the people seem to be into the iced beverages these days, which I don't know. If I'm getting a coffee, I'm getting a coffee. But there's the iced lattes doing a roaring trade at the moment, I see, in a lot of these sorts of venues. Let's jump into the news headlines on this Tuesday morning. A 21-year-old man appeared in court today via video link yesterday, should I say, over an alleged daytime rape on a train last week. This is a horrific story. It's a difficult one to talk about on a number of fronts. One is the subject matter, but two, I think everyone listening wants justice to be done in this story, so there are certain guidelines around what we can say and what the court's allowed us to reveal about the identity of the person. We're going to adhere to all that because justice needs to be done in this case, however that falls. The man's accused of assaulting a 12-year-old girl, travelling on the Seaford line, and then getting off the train at Marion and then following the victim. The whole thing's been recorded on CCTV. Now, facial recognition technology is going to be a component of the trial. The identity has been suppressed for now. About a week has been put on that, and then the court's going to review it. A home detention report has been ordered ahead of the next scheduled court appearance. This is a huge story. I think this is every parent's nightmare. A child taking public transport and potentially falling victim to something like this. It's just unimaginably awful, but we need to talk about it because this is happening in our town. This is happening on the Seaford line, something that is particularly well frequented. Other stories, 4 people have been arrested after a hydroponic cannabis crop was found in a West Lakes garage. The setup included 11 large cannabis plants, 2 adults and 2 18-year-olds. All from the same house have been charged and they'll appear in court next month. The man accused of being behind the wheel of a bus which rolled in the New South Wales Hunter Valley will appear in court tomorrow, facing new charges. 26 new charges have been laid, including 10 counts of manslaughter. 10 people were killed when the bus they were travelling in rolled in Greta on the way back from a wedding in June last year. One of the more horrifying stories of 2023. A ban on the sale and importation of disposable vapes could result in an almost million additional visits to GPs each year. Analysis from the Health Department suggests 450,000 Australians will seek a prescription for e-cigarettes containing nicotine. Experts warn more young people will take up tobacco smoking as a result. An arrest warrant has been issued for former AFL player agent Ricky Nixon after he failed to appear at the Melbourne Magistrates Court. The 58-year-old's accused of selling fake footballs signed by Melbourne Demons players, telling buyers that their money would go to a children's charity. Oh, seriously, Ricky, surely not. The federal government is being urged to legislate a national minimum working age. The age restrictions in place in several states across the country, including SA, Tassie and New South Wales. Bernie Smith from the Shop, Distributive and Allied Employees Association says the state-by-state differences are confusing.
There's no real need for it. The national government's signed a treaty recently regarding the protection of young workers, and we think that there's more that can be done to standardise this across the country.
Another day, another cargo ship struck by a missile off of Yemen, a US-owned cargo ship this time, hit by the Iranian-backed Houthi militants. There are heightening concerns in the region that the situation could become even more volatile. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says a coalition of governments has tried to resolve the issue.
We have attempted to resolve this through diplomacy. After numerous international calls for the attacks to stop, a coalition of countries gave the Houthis a clear and unambiguous warning 2 weeks ago. Yet, the Houthis continued on their reckless path.
Getting a number of beautiful pictures of sunrises through on the text line this morning, 0480 1395. Brent the Milky says, welcome back, Will and Sam. Amazing sunrise this morning. It's a beautiful picture. But Brent, you've made the fatal error of not telling us where it is. We like to point out where people are getting these great shots. It's looking back over a shopping centre. One that actually looks quite familiar to me. Tell us, Brent, where that one's been taken. Maria says, good to have you back, but I say there is nothing normal about hot days. Much prefer the cold. Generally, I agree, Maria, but I think 34 forecast today, that's acceptable for summer. You start getting beyond that, you're into complaints territory, but I don't mind. 34 is not particularly bad. Let's talk about the weather, actually, because right now, 26.4 degrees. In fact, the forecast top revised down ever so slightly to 33. Tomorrow, it will get cooler, Marie, so You can be happy about that. 24, the expected top. Thursday, too, a little bit cooler, 25, before we warm up again for the weekend. 30 on Friday, 34 Saturday, 32 Sunday, and 35 on Monday. Let's talk about sport. Tom Wren's just wandered into the 5AA Breakfast studio. Drive away with a great deal at Agostino Mitsubishi Nailsworth and the brand new Agostino Mitsubishi Mawson Lakes. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Yeah, there's a heap of sport happening at the moment, and Adelaide's a real hub, isn't it, over the next week or so? We've got the Tour Down Under starting today, which is in Tanunda. They've 144 Ks out there, and going to be warm conditions, which you've just alluded to. And then the test match tomorrow. So, we've got these two great events.
Yeah.
So it's all sort of happening here, isn't it? The spotlight's going to be on us well and truly again.
And it creates the sensation that has been a long time absent in South Australia, that things happen outside March. Mm-hmm. Now, when one thing happens, it stands sort of in isolation. But when you get a couple in a row, you start going, there's plenty on.
Yeah.
And there's lots of times of the year now it feels like there's plenty on. And this is going to be that time of year now with the test moving.
Big time. And we've got some great weather. I know we've had a bit of an unseasonal start to summer, but it really is kicking in over the next 7 days, this great weather. So it's sensational. And the Tour Down Under has been sort of lying a bit dormant with COVID and everything else, a bit like the rest of, the world. But we've got it back this year, and it should be a really good field. So looking forward to that. And I think you're having a chat about that a little bit later this morning.
Yeah,
Phil
Liggett's going to be on the program.
Fantastic.
Looking forward to that.
So that'll be great. Then we also have the test match. We'll come back to those, but I want to start with a bit of tennis first. A lot of Aussies in action yesterday, 11 of them on the men's side, 3 on the women. We had a few winners. A few tough losses as well, though. Rinky Hijikata lost in 5, James Duckworth lost in 5, a couple of all-Aussie affairs, Alexi Poprin, but then Alex de Minaur, easily our best hope, I think, across the men and women's side of things. He got through last night, albeit his opponent had to retire, Milos Raonic, who's been to the Wimbledon final before, getting a bit older now. It was a set apiece. De Minaur was up a break in the third set, had to retire, unfortunately, the Canadian. De Minaur, though, pretty happy to get through and just wants to continue his momentum now.
It's no secret. I've started the year pretty well. Now it's all about keeping my head down and trying to keep doing the same thing. I mean, for me, nothing changes. I do my best to let the tennis do the talking and keep working hard. So, that's one down, now on to the next.
What's his path look like, Rennie? Because that win over Novak earlier in the summer sort of started building a bit of momentum for him, and people started getting a little bit excited about Alex de Minaur's chances. Does the draw open up for him, or is it a little bit problematic?
No, it's looking okay, and he's not going to face anyone anyone that I don't think is a major issue until about the 4th round. Next up, he's got Matteo Arnaldi, who is an Italian, pretty good. I watched him in Brisbane and Adelaide, and he can play. So he played in the Davis Cup. I think de Minaur feels like he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder because they beat us in the Davis Cup final. But I expect de Minaur will get that done. I think he's a real good chance to go well and truly into the second week, maybe a quarter-final, semi-final. So
that'd be fantastic.
That'd be great. Just to get someone, flying the flag would be really good. The other great story from yesterday was Storm Hunter, who world number 1 in doubles, but, has struggled in the singles, got a qualification, got through late last week, and she won her first match, which was great, against Sara Irani. So really good result there for her. She's through to the second round, which is fantastic. So we'll see how they continue to go today. In terms of other sport, overnight or yesterday, I know you keep a close eye on the playoffs for the NFL. The Detroit Lions had a 24 to 23 point win. Let's just have a listen to how things wrapped up there yesterday.
One more knee and business is done. And Detroit, for the first time in 32 years, your Lions have won a playoff game.
1991, they had to wait since their last finals win or playoff win.
That's an awful long period of being completely mediocre, isn't it?
Oh, so Essendon fans don't have to feel that bad.
Well, what's the Essendon drought at now?
I think they're 2004 since they've won a final.
Okay, so it's 20 years since they've won a final.
It's been a while. It's counting, but Detroit, I mean, that's a huge effort. They've only won. It's the second Lions playoff win that JFK has missed. That sort of puts it into context.
Oh, that's awful, isn't it? In a league that is noted for doing equalisation probably better than any other league in the world.
Yeah.
It throws up different Super Bowl champions and true contenders almost year in, year out. It seems to change. To be that bad for that long in that league, God, that's almost an achievement in and of itself.
It's unbelievable. And then yesterday, obviously, the Dallas Cowboys, after being so dominant at home, got smashed at home by Green Bay.
Took them apart.
48-32. That's like a 25 to 23 goal game in football. That's a massive result. So not good there for the Dallas Cowboys.
Let's talk about the test quickly.
Yes.
What do we know about selection?
Well, Cam Green's gone to bat at 4. They've been desperate to get him into this side. It's just that Mitch Marsh has been playing too well. So now with everything that's happened with Warner, Steve Smith going to the top of the order, Cam Green, you can have the spot where you sort of have betted yourself down for WA and look really impressive. So he'll bat at 4. So it's a bit of a reshuffle for the Aussies. They've changed things up, but essentially Smith will play at the top of the order, Cam Green goes to 4 and Dave Warner comes out. So I don't expect they'll change much with the bowlers. They should take care of the West Indies. It'll be a nice sort of move in for Green and for Steve Smith. I'd expect them to dominate.
Can you make the case that we're going to get any sort of a contest? Is there anything on the windy side of things that's going to create any level of tension? I mean, I don't find myself often cheering for the opponents that Australia are playing in cricket, and I won't this time, but I'd like to see them.
No, I'm the same. Fight. I'm exactly the same. I at least want to see, some kind of a contest. As Zari Joseph said yesterday, we're here to win, but I think it's all just words, unfortunately. They try hard. They'll compete, but they just don't have the firepower. They just don't have the guns like we've seen for the last 30 or 40 years, unfortunately.
I mean, it was in our lifetime, Rennie, watching cricket, that the greatest achievement that an Australian cricket team had done was winning a test series in the West Indies.
That was unbelievable. I remember getting up and watching it, and Mark Taylor's men with Warney and McGrath, a young Glenn McGrath, Greg Blewett was playing in that series. It was
that was summiting the mountain. That's like winning a test series in India now, I guess.
Yep, that was in the mid-90s, and that was almost the beginning of the end of the West Indies and the start of the real dominance of Australian cricket for the next 15 years or so. It had probably started a few years earlier for Australia, but that was almost they're cemented now. This is where they are, and they're going to take on the world, and they did. We're not going to get that, but I just hope we get good crowds, and we again underline, how good we are. But we've been given a pretty ordinary sort of schedule. But hopefully we do it well, and then we've got India and England for the next 2 years.
I was going to ask you next about the crowds, because it's been, obviously Perth was shocking.
Yep.
The rest of the summer picked up a little bit, as I understand it, albeit Boxing Day was off its peak. Adelaide people just come to the test, don't they?
That's the thing. Like, we do get there. And it's funny with the WA crowds, they didn't turn up for the test match. I think it was about 10 or 12,000 on average a day, yet they then get 40,000 for the Scorchers, so they're really parochial for that. But
I think it's probably because in Western Australia they believe they should have their own test side.
Yeah,
that's probably the part of the issue.
They are really, really parochial, aren't they? I mean, we are here too, but they almost take it to another level.
They are. They're on another level.
It's unreal. But I expect 25. I think if we can get 25,000 there tomorrow on a Wednesday, I hope it gets to Saturday, so people that have got work during the week are able to go. I think for that to happen, we're going to have Australia bat first and bat for a good day and a half, to be any chance of the test going the distance. So fingers crossed that is the case. Otherwise, if the Windies get rolled for, say, 180 or something, and then Australia bat for a while, it could be over inside 3 days. But I hope that we get 25,000 a day. I think that'll be a pretty good result. Given where it's at, the time it's starting, the opponent, I reckon we'll be going okay with that.
I reckon we'll hold up all right. Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, Will. Good stuff.
Get immediate delivery on the Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi Nailsworth and their brand new dealership at Mawson Lakes. Big thanks to Brent the Milky, who's texted us back saying that the sunrise picture he took this morning was at Montague Road, Modbury North. Cracker of a picture. If you've got one you'd like to send through to us, please do. 0480 1395. As you'll note, if you're watching on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream, Brooklyn's making a hero of people who send through sunrise pictures, so it'll get a little bit of airtime. So your magnificent photography work will not go unrewarded. Now, coming up very, very shortly, we're going to be talking about the O'Sullivan Beach boat ramp. Did anyone get caught out when they switched payments from them being in person to online? Now, we know a lot of people got caught out. I'm wondering if anyone got caught out that's listening. Let us know. 82230000. We'll be chatting with the head of the recreational fishers here in South Australia, Andrew Harris, about this. But a stack of people got done. And the thing that's most disturbing about it is the enthusiasm with which the fines appear to be levied. People that were turning up, getting out of their car just to see what the situation was, finding that in the time they'd gotten out to look around, they'd had a sticker on their vehicle. Let us know your story. And if you're a regular at the boat ramp, was there adequate warning? Has there been a grace period? Has it been communicated well? We're going to jump into that story after 6:30.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 33. With the 6:30 news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
There's been a death following a retirement village fire in Hillcrest. More than 24 firefighters took 60 minutes to extinguish the blaze on Foster's Road just after 10 last night. Police evacuated other residents. Prema Osborne from the MFS says sadly one person died.
A fatality occurred with one deceased and one occupant was taken to hospital. Fire investigators have estimated structural damage to be approximately $250,000. The cause is still being investigated.
Hamas has released a new video which appears to confirm the deaths of 2 Israeli hostages. The terror group yesterday released footage showing 2 men and a woman held captive, warning their fate would be disclosed today. A new video shows the woman alive alongside 2 bodies. A US-owned cargo ship has been struck by a missile from Iranian-backed Houthi militants in the Red Sea. Edward Godfrey reports.
The US says the Iran-backed Houthis are responsible for this latest attack. A US-owned cargo ship was struck by a missile off the coast of Yemen in the Gulf of Aden around 4 p.m. local time. The US command says an anti-ship ballistic missile hit the MV Gibraltar Eagle, a 199-metre-long container ship. There were no injuries and no serious damage despite a fire breaking out. This comes after US and UK strikes on Houthi targets in recent days. Giving his first statement on the coordinated strikes, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said 13 Houthi targets have been destroyed.
A home detention bail report's being prepared for a man accused of raping a 12-year-old girl on a train last week. The 21-year-old from Aldinga is accused of assaulting the girl while travelling on the Seaford line and then getting off the train at Marion and following her. The alleged incident recorded on CCTV with facial recognition technology used to identify him. The stage is set for the men's tour down under. The opening stage will leave Tanunda this morning and crisscross the Barossa 3 times. The tour attracts plenty of interstate and overseas visitors. Anna Mola from the Hotels Association's told Seven the addition of several new Adelaide hotels in recent years is paying off.
Probably about 20% more bed nights on the market in the CBD since pre-COVID, and the numbers are holding strong.
A ban on the sale and importation of disposable vapes could result in almost 1 million additional visits to GPs each year. Analysis from the Health Department suggests 450,000 Australians will seek a prescription for e-cigarettes containing nicotine. Experts warn more young people will take up tobacco smoking as a result. It could be a golden night for Australia on US TV's Night of Nights. Jonathan Kersley's in Los Angeles.
Murray Bartlett, Sarah Snook, Elizabeth Debicki and Anna Torv lead the way for Australia at the 75th Annual Emmy Awards to be held in Los Angeles. It could continue a golden run for both Elizabeth Debicki and Sarah Snook, the latter also picking up an award at last night's Critics' Choice Awards. These awards were due to be held back in September, but were delayed due to writers and actors' strikes. And after tonight, the focus will shift away from the television categories to the movies in the lead-up to the Oscars.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
There's plenty of stock ready for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Alex de Minaur's next challenge at the Australian Open will be Italian Matteo Arnaldi after he won through to the second round when Milos Raonic retired hurt. The 24-year-old says it's great to play with a huge home crowd backing him.
It's a blessing starting the year in Australia, playing in front of my home fans, and I don't really associate playing in Australia as nerve-wracking or more pressure. In fact, I associate it as just excitement.
Storm Hunter, Jordan Thompson and Alexi Poprin have also advanced, while Darius Saville, Rinky Hijikata and James Duckworth were among the Aussies who've lost early. Well, the Santos Tour Down Under gets underway from Tanunda later this morning, with several riders expected to contend to take out the title. Legendary race caller Phil Liggett telling Rowie and Timmy G Simon Yates deserves to be the favourite, although he believes a young Aussie could also challenge.
So Simon might find his best competition comes from the new Aussie champion, Lucas Plapp, who's won the Aussie title for the third year straight and is a young, up-and-coming superstar.
Australia's cricketers will train at Adelaide Oval later this morning as they finalise preparations ahead of tomorrow's opening test against the West Indies. Meantime, in the BBL, the Hobart Hurricanes have beaten the Melbourne Stars by 7 runs at the MCG, with both sides failing to make the finals. And that's the FIVEAA sport.
Now the FIVEAA forecast.
Jayco Adelaide's factory sale has a van for every budget, with savings up to $3,000. Hurry ends Saturday.
Partly cloudy and 33 today, cooler tomorrow down to 24, partly cloudy on Thursday 25 and mostly sunny Friday 30. At the moment 26. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
FIVEAA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
25 minutes to 7. Very shortly, we're off to the red carpet for the 75th Annual Emmy Awards. If you're thinking, they don't usually happen at this time of year. They were, in fact, delayed on account of the writers and actors strikes in America. So this is the catch-up. And bizarrely, a number of the shows featured have had second seasons that have aired, whereas it'll be the first season that's being nominated. The Bear falls into that category, and some others in the weird world of streaming now where seasonality doesn't really exist. But it's going to be a peculiar day today for the Emmys for their 75th. We're, of course, particularly interested in how our two Australian actresses fare, in Sarah Snook and Elizabeth Debicki, will be crossing there live in the next couple of minutes. It is a significant day in the history of television today. It is the 16th of January here, but of course in the United States it's the 15th of January. And back in 1974, it was on this day that Happy Days debuted for the very first time. Richie, Ralph Mouth, Fonzie, of course, one of the most famous characters in television history. Happy Days debuted for the very first time. It's a fascinating thing to think about. Happy Days launching in 1974. A show about life in the early 50s. A show about life in the early 50s that looked back with a sort of very warm sense of the values of the time. And things, the sense was in the show that things had changed a lot in the real world. Can we go back to this beautiful period in the 50s? If you made that show today, wanting to hark back in a timing sense to something similar, it'd be a show set in the early 2000s, which is just bizarre to think about. Because we think things change more rapidly now with technology and whatnot, but maybe they don't with values, because the differences between the early 50s and the mid-70s feel significantly different, I think, than the values between the early 2000s and 2024. But it's an interesting thought experiment. It was popular then. I'm not sure what the values of the early 2000s were and whether they're worthy of a television program, but I would suggest it wouldn't be anywhere near as successful as Happy Days. Have you ever lost anything? Have you ever lost anything and made a big song and dance about it, and then you've embarrassingly found out that, in fact, it was never lost, it was just on your person or somewhere you hadn't looked? The reason I ask is because of some intrigue around the most famous, or now infamous, case of lost property over the Australian cricketing summer, that of Dave Warner's baggy green. Let's go back a little bit earlier in the summer to this Instagram message by Dave Warner with issuing a plea for the return of his lost baggy green cap.
Hi everyone, Dave Warner here. Unfortunately, this is my last resort to do this, but a couple of days ago our bags got freighted via Qantas. We've gone through CCTV footage. They've got some blind spots apparently. We spoke to the Key West Hotel, who we absolutely trust and have gone through their cameras. No one's came into our rooms, but unfortunately someone has taken my backpack out of my actual luggage, which had my backpack and my girl's presents in there. Inside this backpack was my baggy greens. It's sentimental to me. It's something that I would love to have back in my hands walking out there come this week. If it's the backpack that you really wanted, I have a spare one here. You won't get into trouble. Please reach out to Cricket Australia or myself via my social media. I'm happy to give this to you if you return my baggy greens. Thank you.
So, intrigue, everyone's worst nightmare. Someone goes through your stuff when it's meant to be safe and in transit, and in the process, David Warner lost something really important to him, his baggy green. In fact, it was a story that drew so much attention, Chappelle Corby commented on it. Chappelle Corby, who said, wow, Qantas, have I got a story for you? Well, as it turns out, maybe, just maybe, Qantas aren't the ones to be blamed here.
The mystery behind David Warner's baggy green has been solved. Warner has two kit bags, a half-size bag and a full-size bag. Now, usually he puts his baggy green inside the full kit bag, but for some reason it went in the half bag, causing a massive search party at the team's hotel room in Sydney. But the half bag was in another room with the David Warner name tag tucked underneath it after a long look, which took days and much pain for many companies.
That's Mark Beretta on Sunrise this morning with a twist in the tail. Lost, yes, but not anyone else's fault but Dave Warner, it sounds like. Oh dear. Now, I'd be more critical of Dave if not for the fact that I routinely lose things, make a giant song and dance about it, and then find out I was either sitting on them, they're in a pocket in my jacket somewhere hanging in a cupboard. If that's you and you've been through something similar, let us know. I'm guessing you didn't make an Instagram post. Maybe you did. You can tell us about that too. 8223 You can text us on the text line 0448 08 1395. And what we're going to do is much similar to yesterday. Every single person who participates in the program goes in the running to win a unique homestyle foods voucher valued at $100. You can get unique pies, sausage rolls and donuts from your local independent supermarket. Unique. It's time for something better. Like doing it this way. We often do giveaways for people who do funny suggestions or make jokes on the program, and I like doing one that's open to everyone. So if you want to make, you got a funny story about something you lost during the running, but similarly, if you want to make a comment about the Stage 3 tax cuts, something we're going to be jumping into in depth after 7:30 today, and the number one federal political issue on the agenda for at least the next 5 months, you are well and truly in the running as well. So absolutely everyone who contributes to the program, you may have just shot us through a sunrise picture as well on the text line. If you've done that, you're in the running. So everyone who participates in the program, whatever you'd like to talk about, you are in the running to win that $100 unique Homestyles food voucher. Still on the lookout for someone who was stung at the O'Sullivan's Beach boat ramp when they transitioned from in-person ticket buying to online. A lot of people got done. We're going to be chatting with Rec Fishers very, very shortly about that. Let's check traffic. Thanks to Novita Tech. They can support you to live more independently. There's summer sales on now. Visit novitatech.com.au.
Good morning. In Crafers, a truck's broken down on the freeway up track near the Crafers ramp. Also in Mount Barker, a crash on Albert Road near the Wellington Road roundabout. In the city, 2 are down under road closures in place on Victoria Square between Great and Wakefield Street, and through Tanunda in a few areas, including Murray Street between Fielder and Bridge Street. The Jeep summer plate clearance is now on. 2023 plate models are priced to clear. With over $11,000 of value on offer, now's the time to get the Jeep you've always wanted. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
There's a lot to love about learning just about anything with WEA. Real-time, face-to-face learning with like-minded people. WEA has 22 language courses on offer and over 80 cooking and wine appreciation courses. Visit wea-sa.com.au.
City Discount Tires. Get saving this month at City Discount Tires. When you buy 3 Wild Peak AT3W all-terrain tyres, you'll get the 4th tyre free. The perfect tyre for your next adventure. City Discount Tires are a proud multi-tyre and wheel brand retailer offering great service at great prices. Visit citydiscounttires.com.au to find your nearest store. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value.
City Discount Tires. This year, it's time to stop holding yourself back. It's time to get the smile of your life at Next Smile Australia. Our gold standard all-on-4 gives you a new set of fixed, long-lasting teeth, a smile you want to show off, and a return to eating the foods you love. You also get 4 decades of dedicated all-on-4 experience and a clinically proven 98% success rate. Discover your new smile with Next Smile Australia. Book a complimentary consultation at nextsmile.com.au.
Looking for style and security for your home? Gliderol Garage Doors have been doing this for 50 years. Now's the time to upgrade your home, because when you order a new roller door, sectional door or custom designer door with an operator by the 28th of February, you'll receive a bonus $100 gift card to spoil yourself this festive season. If it's time for a new look for your home or to upgrade, do it now. Call for a free measure and quote and helpful advice. Visit gliderol.com.au today. Retail customers only. T's and C's apply.
There's a lot to love about learning just about anything with WEA. Real-time, face-to-face learning with like-minded people. Learn about subdividing land and property development or gardening in a changing climate. Visit wea-sa.com.au. Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
16 to 7. It sure feels like summer this morning. Warm out there. Let's head straight to the Bureau. Hannah Marsh is on duty for us. Hannah, where are we at the moment? It feels like it's seriously hot.
Yeah, well, we had a minimum of 22.6 degrees, but that was just before 3:30 this morning, and since then we've really been hovering around that 25, 26 degree mark. We're sitting on 26.5 degrees at the moment. Then add in a little bit of humidity, we're sitting at 54% at the moment, and like you mentioned, it's feeling quite balmy.
It doesn't look like it's going to hang around, though, for the rest of the week. We get a bit of relief for those of... A few people have texted us this morning saying, oh, no, this is not for me. But they don't have to wait too long for relief, it looks like.
No, we do have a change. They're expecting to come through around lunchtime. We won't see the temperature decrease too much until we head into the afternoon and evening period. But associated with that, there is also a slight chance of seeing a shower, most likely from about late morning and into the afternoon period, and also a chance of a thunderstorm. They will be more likely during the afternoon and evening period, and more likely about the ranges, but we couldn't rule one out for the metropolitan area as we head into that afternoon period. But as you mentioned, the good news is the minimum temperature overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning, we're looking at 17 degrees, maximum of 24 for Wednesday and partly cloudy. Thursday, partly cloudy, 25, but we do see the maximum temperature starting to climb back into next weekend.
Good stuff. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Hannah Marsh from the Bureau of Meteorology. Let's head to SAPOL now. Senior Constable Kate Dawson's on the line. Kate, a fatal house fire at Hillcrest overnight.
Yeah, this was about 10:15 last night. Emergency services were called to a property on Foster's Road after reports of a house fire. So when police and MFS arrived at the scene, they found a unit fully ablaze. So an 81-year-old woman managed to escape the inferno with minor injuries, and she was taken to the RAF for treatment. But sadly, an 83-year-old man died at the scene. So extensive damage was caused to the property and to the adjoining unit, but thankfully the next door neighbours weren't home at the time, so there was no further injuries. Our fire cause investigators attended the scene last night to assist with the investigation. The cause of the fire is currently undetermined, but it's deemed non-suspicious. So, yeah, really just a sad set of circumstances out in Hillcrest.
Yeah, certainly. That's awful. Kate, damage caused to a primary school in Happy Valley last night by a number of golf balls. What's happened there?
Yeah, this was about 11:45 last night. Police were called to a school on Education Road after reports of banging and smashing noises heard from within the grounds. So when patrols attended, they found approximately 27 windows damaged and over 100 golf balls throughout the school and the buildings. So officers also found damage to cabinets inside one of the classrooms. Our crime scene investigators attended the scene to see if they could find any forensic evidence. And we're making further inquiries regarding possible break-ins at nearby golf clubs as well, trying to work out where all those golf balls came from. So we're just asking anybody with any information to contact Crime Stoppers on 100 333 000.
Someone will know. You get leads on that one. Good on you, Kate.
I
Thank
reckon.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Senior Constable Kate Dawson from SAPOL there. I tell you what, if we were running a jury this morning about whether the Dave Warner missing baggy green was innocent silliness or indeed a set-up about a bit of look-at-me action, it's the latter that would win in an almost unanimous verdict. Have a look at some of these texts that are coming in at the moment. This was a Warner look-at-me set-up, says one. Wally the Walnut says, Warner's retired, let him ride off into the sunset. It was a set-up from the start, all about Warner. BJ says, so Warner, a combination of stupidity and show pony. The story, if you missed it, being that, well, it was not lost. It was not taken out of his bag in transit. It was in another bag. It was in another bag that Dave Warner written on it. Just didn't quite locate it. This text comes in from Dan from Woodcroft. It says, good morning. About 4 years ago, we took our then new camper van away for its first big trip. The morning was a blur of busyness with things being packed and the kids, 3 under 5. Good Lord, Dan, you're a titan amongst men. To get ready, we thought we were doing well, and soon we were on our way. My wife reminded me to get my keys for the camper before we left. After an hour and a half driving and getting to the caravan park and doing the perfect reverse job with the new van, my beautiful wife asked me for the keys, to which I replied, you grabbed them? Which was not correct, and it turned out I'd left the keys on the kitchen bench. I've never been able to live it down since. Thank you, Dan. I think from now on, we can call that doing a Dave Warner quite comfortably. Let's enter it into the vernacular. Someone sent us through a magnificent picture of a sunrise this morning that looks a little bit River Murray-ish, I think, but again, no explanation. So we've got this beautiful picture, but I can't credit it appropriately, but it does look Beautiful. It is the quintessential, if it is the Murray sunrise picture with the beautiful trees in the background casting silhouettes onto the water. Just sensational. Looks like a postcard. Do tell us if you're going to take a photo, where it is and what your name is, because we like to give you appropriate credit. Now, the other thing we're on the lookout for is people that frequent the O'Sullivan's Beach boat ramp, because there's been a situation there where the Onkaparinga Council removed in-person payment option for launch fees when you go down and launch your boat. Everyone has to pay online now. So locals got caught out. Have a listen to these people chatting with 7 News.
I think they should make it much more prominent. In the old days, we just used to pay in the kiosk, and it was very clear, and there were very, very clear signs that you have to pay.
I've never ever had this happen before, and I've been coming down here for years. I think it's unfair. I think the sign should be a little bit more so that I can see them.
They don't sound like criminals that are out to do the wrong thing. They sound like people that got stung by something that wasn't communicated well. Now, Sam Daddo's in the studio. You chatted with one of these poor people that got stung.
Yeah, the second voice you would have heard there was Margaret. This is what she sent me over the last few days. We were chatting about it. I was parked illegally and received a $93 fine. I've parked there a lot over the years, so automatically did it again. I got out of my car, walked about 20 metres and took a 30-second video on my phone of the scenery. I turned around to walk back to the car and saw the inspectors at my car peering into the windows as well. I walked straight back wondering what was wrong. As I reached the car, the community safety car pulled out and drove off. Immediately, Channel 7 were at my car. I had not realised I had been fined at this stage. It wasn't until the cameraman who pointed out the fine on the windscreen. This was all happened within about 5 minutes, and I felt as if the inspector should have come to me. They would have seen me. I would have moved my car if I'd been warned. To me, they were lying, waiting to pounce. I realised my mistake and will not park there again. A hefty fine for a 30-second video.
What was the fine?
$93.
Yikes. Andrew Harris, thank you for that, Sam. Andrew Harris is the Recreational Fishers Chair here in South Australia. Andrew, what's your summation of what's going on here?
Thanks very much for having me on the show. Look, it's not just the O'Sullivan's Beach boat ramp, and that's what RecFish SA is pointing out. We want to make all boat ramps across this state free to access to the public. Obviously, there's just undergone some upgrades down there at the O'Sullivan's Beach boat ramp that is being paid for out of taxpayers' money and the SADFAC fund. It should be not a revenue generator for that council, but it's something that helps promote the area and bring people and interstate travellers who are visiting South Australia and using our facility. It's an upgrade there to enhance that area, to enhance that boat ramp, the safety of the boat ramp. It should be going fishing or going down to the beach and using that facility there for whatever you use it for should be something that is a peaceful and recreational day out on the water. You shouldn't have to worry about how you're going to pay for your boat ramp, considering that they haven't thought that through very correctly, and whether you're going to come back to a fine on your car, which is another expense incurred for your day.
So was there any grace period? What was the communication like to tell people that there was going to be this change?
Look, they ran a communication piece throughout the whole upgrade. I couldn't give you the details of what the grace period was. There was a grace period for a period of time there, but I'm not sure how long. But at the end of the day, I'll use my dad, for example. He's got a little 4.2 metre tinny. He's 74 years of age. I bet you bottom dollar, if he was to go down there this week and launch, he would have no idea what he needs to do there.
Because presumably people aren't going every week, are they? Especially if they're getting on a bit. They're a little bit older. They're probably going less frequently.
Well, no, I reckon they're going probably a little bit more now that... Well, the upgrade of the boat ramp is a great facility, as I said, upgraded by taxpayers' money and back. It's probably a little bit more user-friendly now for the elderly community. We get a lot of this. Look, there's 360,000 fishers across South Australia. We generate $1 billion of revenue to this state per year. I think the government really, and RecFish SA have been making the government well aware of these figures and working in the government with some projects. But really, we're so far behind the eight ball here, they need to hurry up, take their blinkers off, and invest into this sector that is investing into our state economy.
What do you pay to launch?
I think it's just about to go up, but it used to be about $14, I think.
Yeah, okay.
It can be quite, it's a costly exercise when you look at, you've got your boat, you've got fuel, trailer, rego, then you got bait, and by the time you've paid all that, a day out on the water sometimes for some fishers, and like I fish a fair bit, a day out on the water adds up very quickly, and then you throw in your launch fees, and if you're lucky enough to be able to fish a couple of times a week at the boat ramp, or even 3 or 4 times a month, then that all adds up again. So it's definitely a cost that Recfish SA want abolished in this state. Our state in general, in terms of our recreational fishing space and our infrastructure, it needs a lot of investment from government, and it needs a lot of recognition that, hey, this sector does contribute $1 billion to the state economy. So let's just not forget about it and focus on gather round and everything else. Let's look at how we can enhance this aspect of it. We used to have a booming snapper fishery here in South Australia. We got interstate and international visitors all the time contributing to our economy in that. It's been mismanaged by FIVEAA Fisheries Management to the point now that we've got the second part of a ban. We really need to be getting everything that we can back into this state, all our international interstate guests, and then we need to be able to provide facilities that accommodate for not just our public, but for that as well.
What's your assessment of the snapper population out there at the moment? Because some fishers I've spoken to have suggested they're just about jumping into the boat. There's so many there.
Well, of course there's going to be a lot more fish there, or seem to be in those popular locations, but that's because they're not getting the pressure that they once had, from the commercial fishers at the time. So the abundance of fish might seem to be there in those locations, and I would say that they are aggregating and holding their positions a lot more because they're not under pressure, and that's why those fishers are experiencing that. I would like to hope that our stocks are definitely on the way up. That's something that we work closely with SARDI with. They're the scientists, and we can only go by what they say. We pushed to open up the southeast bag limit a little bit, and that was successful. So obviously in the southeast now, from Victor down, we can catch 2 fish per person. But we're certainly advocating on behalf of the recreational anglers that when this snapper ban is up, well, let's make it a recreational fishing and charter industry only in both gulfs. Let's either buy out the long lining, which is, it is what it is. Everyone has to make money, and that's the career that they've chosen. But they've chosen a career. They've done whatever that was right within their left and right of arc. But the reality of it is, it was mismanaged by the government, not just this government, but previous governments under FIVEAA and SARDI. They need to be held accountable for it. But we really need to make some more noise and take over, what is and what was such a booming snapper fishery. It was world class.
Well, Andrew, let's hope some justice is done on at very least on the launch fees front. It doesn't sound like, you represent a cohort of people who are criminals out to do the wrong thing. People want to go out and catch some fish and contribute to the local economy. So at very least, let's hope these sorts of penalties are just enforced a little bit less enthusiastically, and there's some understanding that not everyone's online and up to speed with the changes that are taking place. Thanks for talking to us this morning. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Andrew Harris, the chair of the recreational fishers here in South Australia. Lots of texts on Warnergate. It's a gate now. It's serious. The revelation on Sunrise this morning that, in fact, the lost baggy green, the intimation in the Dave Warner Instagram post was it wasn't just lost, that someone had reached into his bag and taken it out. Turns out it was just in another bag. Rita in Campbelltown's not buying it. In fact, she says she never did. I never believed the baggy green was lost. This had attention-seeking written all over it. My comeback to that, Rita, would be that would demonstrate a degree of foresight and planning that I'm not sure Dave Warner's capable of. Matt in Salisbury Heights, good morning.
How you going, mate?
Good, mate. You've lost something.
Yeah, I thought my car got stolen from Bunnings once before.
Oh, no. Where was it?
Yeah, in the car park. I usually park in the same spot at Bunnings all the time.
So how long were you looking for it for?
Ages. And buddy, I ended up going to the girl with the gas bottles and saying my car's been stolen, rah, rah, rah. I want to speak to the manager to see CCTV. And then I noticed, when I was waiting for the manager, I noticed the wheelbarrows at the front of Bunnings, and I'm thinking to myself, I remember driving past them, and I parked my car on the other side of the car park.
So you've gone into the manager and said, I need to see the CCTV. Someone's pinched my car.
Yeah, I went to the girl with the gas bottles to get the manager. Someone stole my car. And while I was waiting for the manager, I noticed the wheelbarrows out the front. I'm like, oh, I drove past them. I could easily park on the other side of Bunnings.
Matt.
And there's my car, so I took off before the manager came anyway.
Fair to say you're a strong contender for the $100 Unique Home Styles food voucher this morning. We're glad you found your car. See, I do have sympathy for Dave Warner on the front. We've all made a song and dance about losing something only for it to turn up in somewhere that we were in total control of. I've done it a million times. And now that we've entered it into the vernacular, I can say proudly that I have done a Dave Warner on many occasions.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 33 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
From chips to replacements, make Complete Windscreens your insurer repairer of choice. CompleteWindscreens.com.au.
A man's died in a fire at a retirement village in Hillcrest. The blaze broke out on Foster's Road just after 10 p.m. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says the unit was fully ablaze when emergency crews arrived.
An 81-year-old woman managed to escape the inferno with minor injuries and she was taken to the RAF for treatment. But sadly, an 83-year-old man died at the scene. So extensive damage was caused to the property and to the adjoining unit, but thankfully the next-door neighbours weren't home at the time, so there was no further injuries.
The cause of the blaze is currently undetermined but not considered suspicious. It's been revealed a passenger allegedly raped on board a Seaford train last week is only 12 years old. Mel Usher has details.
The 21-year-old man remains in custody following a court appearance over an alleged daytime rape on a train south of the city. He's accused of assaulting a 12-year-old girl while travelling on the Seaford line last week and then getting off the train at Marion and following the victim. The alleged incident recorded on CCTV. His identity has been suppressed for now. A home detention report has been ordered ahead of his next court appearance.
A driver involved in a deadly bus crash in the New South Wales Hunter Valley is facing new charges. 10 people were killed on their way back from a wedding in June when the bus rolled and hit a guardrail. 59-year-old Brett Burton is accused of 26 fresh offences, including 10 counts of manslaughter. Another major event on the local calendar starts today, the Men's Tour Down Under. The opening stage is 3 loops of the Barossa, starting and finishing in Tanunda. The bikes winding their way through Seppeltsfield, Angaston and Uriutpa. Sid King runs a restaurant in Tanunda and has told Nine it's going to be a huge day.
Oh, it's amazing. It's like New Year's Eve. It's going to be a special day. A little excited, a little nervous, but the key is preparation.
Almost 500,000 more Australians are expected to seek a doctor's prescription for vapes, but it could come at a dire cost to life and health. Gabriel Hodson reports.
The world is watching as Australia is one of the first nations to try and seriously crack down on vaping. But an impact analysis of our reform shows about 450,000 more smokers are expected to seek out prescriptions for nicotine vapes, stretching an already stressed health system. All up, the data predicts Australian GPs will need to fit in an extra 1 million patient visits a year. The analysis found in regions without bulk billing or where doctors were scarce, frustrated vape users could end up on tobacco, allowing the black market to flourish. But the Federal Health Minister says the government will work to reduce cigarette smoking at the same time as vaping.
A US-owned cargo ship has been struck by a missile from Iranian-backed Houthi militants. There are heightening concerns the region could become more volatile. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says a coalition of governments is trying to resolve the issue.
We have attempted to resolve this through diplomacy. After numerous international calls for the attacks to stop, a coalition of countries gave the Houthis a clear and unambiguous warning 2 weeks ago. Yet, the Houthis continued on their reckless path.
And the first voting events of the Republican race to the White House will begin in a matter of hours with the Iowa caucus. More from US correspondent Lauren Tomasi.
Today's results will provide the first glimpse of which direction the presidential election is heading, with Iowa the first state to cast votes, and the results here can make or break a candidate's momentum. The polls say it is Donald Trump's race to lose, but the former president's rivals, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, have been campaigning hard in this midwest state. The cold is the biggest concern, with the wind chill sending temperatures to minus 30 degrees. This vote will be about who can convince the most voters to get outside.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
There's plenty of stock ready for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Australia may have seen the last of Andy Murray after a disappointing first-round exit at the Oz Open. Craig Gabriel reports.
Andy Murray's Australian campaign has ended. He's lost to Argentine Thomas Martin Echeverry in straight sets, and afterwards Murray said that he's been discussing his playing future with those close to him, and this Australian Open is probably his last. Naomi Osaka in the return after having a baby has been beaten by Caroline Garcia 6-4, 7-6. Alex de Minaur advanced when Milos Raonic retired with a hip issue, and after nearly 4 hours of gripping tennis, Jan-Lennart Struff has beaten young Aussie Rinky Hijikata in 5 sets.
To cricket, South Aussie legend Sean Tate is offering a helping hand to the West Indies ahead of the two-match series, which begins against the Aussies tomorrow at Adelaide Oval. Meantime, the Hobart Hurricanes have finished their BBL season on a high. That's after beating the Melbourne Stars by 7 runs at the MCG. Matt Wade and Ben McDermott both blasted half-centuries, while Bo Webster finished unbeaten on 55 for the Stars, but it wasn't enough. Well, another major event on the local calendar starts today, the 2024 Men's Tour Down Under. The opening stage is 3 loops of the Barossa, starting and finishing in Tanunda, the bikes winding their way through Seppertsfield, Angaston and Nuriupa. At the Asian Cup, South Korea has had a 3-1 win over Bahrain, while Jordan has thrashed Malaysia 4-0. Meantime, in the English Premier League, Everton could be docked points for a second time this season. The Toffees and Nottingham Forest have been charged with breaching profit and sustainability rules. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Got a broken down truck in Crafers on the freeway up track near the Crafers ramp. Has it slow going outbound. In Mount Barker, a crash on Albert Road near the Wellington Road roundabout. In the city, roads are closed for the tour down under on Victoria Square between Grode and Wakefield Street. And just be sure to check your speed. Fairfield Road, Elizabeth Grove. Get your crew going away from conferences to sporting, special interest trips to school excursions. Flight Centre's group travel gurus have your back. Visit flightcentre.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Jayco Adelaide's factory sale has a van for every budget, with savings up to $3,000. Hurry, ends Saturday.
Partly cloudy and 33 today, cooler tomorrow down to 24. Partly cloudy on Thursday, 25, and mostly sunny Friday, 30. At the moment, 27. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Folks travel far and wide to meet Trev from Rollerco.
G'day, is Trev around? Oh, sorry, mate, he's with a customer right now.
Trev's always eager to please. Just pat him on the belly and he'll do anything for you. Oh yes, Trev said you can order your sliding door or window parts online and he'll organise delivery to your door. Rollerco.com.au. They'll get you rolling. No, I'm not patting you on the belly. Oh, all right.
Looking for a restaurant to share a brilliant international taste experience? You simply must try the all-new Tunki at West Lakes. Fusing Japanese flavours with Peruvian ingredients, Chef Krish Dutt invites you to share in this Nikkei experience at the wonderful new local restaurant Tunki. With a careful fusion of Japanese and Peruvian flavours, your taste buds will set flight with a spectacular marinara dance when you experience Tunki. Book your table now at tunki.au and be part of the sensation. Tunki, where fusion meets perfection. 141 Brebner Drive, West Lakes.
Follow the lights with Hurtigruten and Phil Hoffman Travel. Experience the most beautiful coastline in the world on a Norwegian coastal cruise with Hurtigruten in 2024 and 2025. Whether it's following the Northern Lights or chasing the midnight sun, there's something for everyone. Book now to save up to $1,500 per couple and receive 600 Norwegian kroner when you join the Platinum Cruise Club. Offer ends 31st of March. Contact Phil Hoffman Travel. Visit pht.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
9 after 7. Have you booked in a cruise? 1 in 4 Aussies have. We're going to be chatting with Phil Hoffman about the explosion in cruise patronage. We'll do that in the next 10 minutes or so. Big discussion on the Stage 3 tax cuts happening in Canberra at the moment, behind closed doors within the Labor Party federally as well. We're going to have it out in the open on 5AA Breakfast after 7:30 today. We'll talk federal politics in full with Zach De Silva from 9 Radio, but also Dr. Susan Stone. We love talking to about all matters economics, often on the program to talk about the explanation of the inner workings of the RBA. She'll join us to discuss the impact of these cuts in a non-political sense. Interested in having that conversation on the program this morning. Also today, we're going to be chatting with Nicola Triglau, Sarah Snook's drama teacher from Scotch College. This is going to be a fascinating conversation because at some point today, we're imagining Sarah Snook is going to win an Emmy for lead actress. The 75th Emmy Awards are taking place today. She is arguably Australia's, she's in the conversation for one of our most famous actors of the moment. Certainly we've got people with longer legacies, but if in terms of talking about the program that's dominated conversation for the last 5 or 6 years, Sarah Snook has been the star of that. So we'll be chatting with her drama teacher after 8, who I understand is still in contact with her. Can't wait to get involved in that conversation. Like, I can't wait to chat with Phil Liggett after 8:30 with the Tour Down Under men's stage taking place a little bit later today. So much going on in Adelaide. The test starts, of course, tomorrow as well. And Dave Warner has been something of a subject of conversation today, not because of his exploits with the bat, but indeed the mistaken now case of the missing baggy green, which he suggested strongly someone had gone about fumbling about his personal items and taken it out, only for it to be revealed today that it was just in another bag. We're calling doing a Dave Warner. If you've ever done a Dave Warner, like our previous caller who lost his car at Bunnings and asked to see the CCTV because he was convinced it had been stolen, only to find that he'd parked it in a different spot, do call us. Andy in Henley Beach has lost something. Morning to you, Andy.
Good morning, Will. How are you?
Good, mate.
Well, technically, I never lost it. It was a nice airline that lost it. Last year, we were eager to set off on a trip to Hawaii, 4 nights in Hawaii, and then a 19-night cruise back to Oz. When we were the last 2 people at the baggage carousel, realised that we never had any luggage.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Where'd it gone?
Hawaii. Oh, well, nowhere. It was still sitting in Sydney.
Oh, dear.
We're in Hawaii for 4 days, back and forward every day to the airport. It'll be here, it'll be here. It wasn't there. 3 hours prior to boarding the cruise, we ran around the shops and spent about $3,500 in some gear so we could board for our holiday. First, the cruise line were fantastic. They took over the search. They liaised with the airline. We won't tell you who it is, but it's Jetstar. So they took over the search. And 6 days into the cruise, our first port of call was Papeete in Tahiti, where luggage was on the
really?
Ship then.
Wow.
Yeah, so we got it 6 days late, and we exited we disembarked the ship with 4 suitcases full of clothes.
Oh, that's extraordinary, Andy. Thank you. Appreciate your story, mate. That's a shocker. Oh, what a nightmare. Back and forth to the airport alone to drive you absolutely bonkers. Speaking of Hawaii, Danny sent us a message saying hi from Hawaii, listening there this morning. I think Adelaide feels a bit like Hawaii today. 26.7 degrees outside of the city right now. Top of 33 expected today. A little bit earlier, we got a text from Rob on what I think is a difficult story to talk about, but one we need to here in Adelaide because it's a story that it's conduct and it creates an environment that we simply cannot stand for as a community. I'll just play Melush's headline and I'll read you Rob's text.
A man accused of raping a 12-year-old girl on a southern suburbs train has fronted court for the first time. The 21-year-old appeared via video link today over the incident on January 11. It's alleged the victim was travelling on the Seaford line when police say she was assaulted, the accused then following her off the train at the Marion stop. He's yet to enter pleas to 3 charges. A home detention report has been ordered with another court date next week.
Now, as I say, it's difficult to talk about because the subject matter is awful. It's just beyond awful. It's difficult to talk about because there are suppressions in place and no one wants to see anything but justice done, whatever that may be. In this case. But we as a community simply cannot stand for the fact that people don't feel safe on public transport, and that's been a topic on this program at times last year. And we certainly cannot stand for a scenario where 12-year-olds, where our kids don't feel safe on buses. This is every parent's worst nightmare, this story. And it's a story, despite the difficulties around it, that we need to digest and discuss because of the seriousness of it. Because it goes to how safe we feel in our town. And the way so many people get around is on public transport. It's got to be made to feel safe. We cannot abide these sorts of incidents. Rob texted us earlier saying the thing that comes to mind with this terrible attack, alleged attack, is the first thought to see if someone can get home detention bail. How is this even on the table? Straight away we go from victim care to looking after the alleged offender as the court's first priority. They never learn. Well, Rob, as we've pointed out on repeated occasions on this program, there is a baked-in reluctance to send people behind bars, both after they've been found guilty of something and indeed, especially so in the lead-up. Sean Fuster's done a wonderful job in explaining that. It is baked into the system. And it's baked in, I'm sure, on the basis of reports that suggest that rehabilitation is more difficult after people have spent prolonged periods in detention. Okay. It is perhaps the most out of step with public sentiment part of our entire judicial system. Sentencing is one thing, yes. Just the baked-in reluctance to send people to jail in 2024 has people does people's heads in, and I think rightly so. And it doesn't appear in academic reports, but I think it should appear in a democratic system. Public sentiment matters. It has to. It's the basis that underpins this. We need to listen to the people that don't commit the crimes, and if they're unhappy and they don't feel safe, then there's something broken. It's why it's an important story, and that's why it was a great text, Rob. Thank you for that. 16 after 7. Remember, every single contribution to the program this morning is in the running to win a $100 unique Home Styles food voucher, and you can do that by calling on 8223 0000 or texting like Rob did on 0448 08 1395. 26 degrees here. You know, in Iowa right now, in Des Moines, Iowa this morning, in fact, not even this morning, in the middle of the day, it's minus 22. Minus 22. And guess what? Right in the middle of that extreme weather event is the first Republican presidential primary. That is the process by which Republican voters can go to the polls and determine who they want to contest the presidency. Now, we know Donald Trump holds a massive lead in the polls, some 48%. His nearest rivals, Nikki Haley at 20%, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis at 16%. The rest of the field are below 10%. And you might think, why bother? The most optimistic of optimistic advisors to those others would say, perhaps the other 52% of people who are voting for our gaggle of other Republicans are anti-Trump people, and all you need to do is be the one person left to contest Trump as people drop out of the race, and you can tighten this thing up, which they tend to do over the course of the primary season. But right now, he is an outrageous front runner and someone who's bucked every trend, hasn't participated in the debates, hasn't campaigned hard in Iowa, which is what people typically do. In fact, I'll play some audio that will demonstrate why he hasn't had to do any of these things. It's because he plays the media game better than anyone. Now remember, minus 22 in Iowa, where people will be lining up to go to the polls. The health authorities there have issued a warning saying that minus 22 is one thing, but the wind chill factor when the breeze blows is significantly cooler, and it's so extreme you can get frostbite on exposed skin in as little as 10 minutes. Here's Donald Trump.
You can't sit home. If you're sick as a dog, you say, darling, I'm going to make it. Even if you vote and then pass away, it's worth it.
That's Donald Trump. He's rallying colder voters in the extreme conditions. Here's Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis.
Today is the day we make history. Today is the day we make history because we tune out the noise of the media, we tune out the noise of the politicians, and we raise the voices of Americans that say, we want a better day.
Here in Iowa, you have the ability to change the trajectory of American politics.
There's a reason he's on 48. And it's because he talks to people better. He uses the media better. He says outrageous yet more interesting things. They sound like politicians. It's tough to compete with the guy. He sounds like the exact opposite of everything you stand for. Maybe something will change and things will tighten up in the scenario as I described it. But for now, it seems like a formality. But the first step on the journey to Trump being confirmed as the Republican Party candidate is taking place in a little place in America, Iowa, as we speak. 19 after 7, there are some extraordinary figures out about the way in which Australians are enthusiastically engaging with the cruise industry. How about this? 1 in 4 Aussies are going to book a cruise in 2024. So a figure in total that's about 3 times more than last year. 35%, this is intriguing, are under the age of 35. 18% are over 65. So it's flipped entirely the dynamic of what you might think the normal cruise going patrons are. New Zealand, the most popular destination, Europe and the South Pacific thereafter. Phil Hoffman knows more about cruising than anyone in this country, and he joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Morning to you, Phil.
Good morning, Will. How are you?
I'm well. Does
That's good.
Does the change in the type of people cruising surprise you?
No. I think what's happened, Will, is they've discovered the value of cruising and the ease of cruising and the fact that there's a ship for everybody. And I think that's the big thing now, is there are so many different ships, Will. This year, we'll have 81 different vessels coming to Australia waters and sailing out of Australian waters. So there's such a variety. We saw Virgin come in. We've had Disney. We've got new ones. We had Queen Elizabeth the other day. Such a variety of cruising, Will, and it's the value. You know, you're getting on. Everything's included. You know, in most cases. And you're not putting your hand in your pocket for everything every day sort of thing.
There's some pretty grave concerns for cruising during the COVID period. I mean, obviously everything was shut down, but there were people wondering, well, what's the future of the industry? It's going in the opposite direction. Did COVID bizarrely sort of help it?
Yeah, well, it's bounced back so quickly, and we always thought it was because the people that it would come back so quickly because the people who cruise, all they wanted to do during COVID was ask me, when were we going to get back cruising? When were we going to get people? The only people that seemed nervous about cruising was the one that's never cruised because I think people realised how good it was and how clean the vessels were anyway. You know, I mean, COVID came in everywhere, not just on ships and that, everywhere. And people are still getting, COVID travelling around the world. So it's part of life now. We just accept it. But no, it's the value. It's definitely the value, Will, of cruising that's backing the thing. And we're seeing it in Europe now, especially with the young ones, like you said. The under 35s and that, they're seeing how good it is and how easy it is to travel and relax and enjoy yourself.
What does a cruise to Europe look like for a young Australian? Where do you leave from? Where do you go? What's the sort of popular way to do it?
Generally they'll go to the Med, Will. They'll go out of the Med, fly into Rome or, into Copenhagen if they want to do the Baltic. There's so many different sort of destinations you can do. The other thing that's come very popular, Will, is river cruising. Jumping on in Amsterdam and cruising down to Budapest and that, going through 5 or 6 countries, and having everything included. Have you got your e-bikes on deck and you go get an e-bike, go for a ride. So it's not just, for a certain age group, as you said earlier. It's for all ages now, and we're seeing that. And same for families, People can take on the families at every age and make sure they enjoy themselves.
There was a pretty unpopular decision taken by the Victorian government about a month ago regarding increasing the port fees for cruise vessels. It's seen a couple of cruise liners, as I understand, now pull out of visiting Melbourne as a port.
Absolutely, and I think we'll see South Australia get a lot more of it.
Well, I was going to ask you, is there a benefit possibly for Adelaide in that?
Yep, absolutely. I think we'll see a lot more home porting. A lot of people want to see more of Kangaroo Island and stay there longer. Will, can I just interrupt you for a moment because I'm on the beach at Halfway Shores, Glenelg, and it's the most beautiful day, and 2 dolphins are 20 metres out from me where I'm about to go for a swim.
Wow.
So I just thought to tell you that. I mean, you talk about beaches in Hawaii and all that. It is crystal clear. It's glass and 2 dolphins. And, it's just, when people talk about different places in the world, we do it pretty well in South Australia.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky. People travel halfway across the world to see dolphins. You see them get very excited and you think, we just got off the beach.
They're just outside, outside 20 metres away.
Well, you have a good swim, Phil. Appreciate your insights on the cruise industry.
Okay, thanks, Will. Talk to you later. Bye.
Phil Hoffman from Phil Hoffman Travel. If you booked a cruise this year, 1 in 4, obviously the number's probably dragged up by serial cruise line enthusiasts who are going a couple of times this year, but it's a remarkable number. That's somewhere in the order of 6 million cruise trips that have been booked by Australians for this year already. That's just an amazing number. If you're one of them, tell us where you're going. Expound on why you're going there. Your first time cruiser, you're a repeated cruise goer. The numbers don't lie. There's something happening in the way Australians are choosing to travel. and the cruise is coming out to be extraordinarily popular. 24 minutes after 7, we're going to check traffic and come back with sport in just a moment. Novita Tech can support you to live more independently. The summer sale's on now. Visit novitatech.com.au.
It's slow outbound in Salisbury due to a crash on the Salisbury Highway near Commercial Road. Got another one in Mount Barker on Albert Road near the Wellington Road roundabout. In the city, roads are closed for the tour down under on Victoria Square between Grote and Wakefield Street. Works continuing in Jeps Cross on Port Wakefield Road near Matthews Road. Speeds are at 60 both ways. Just be sure to check your speed. Fitzroy Terrace, North Adelaide. OTR has all your entertaining needs covered this summer. Ice, gas, drinks and snacks, all available 24/7. OTR, making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
The government needs to fix ramping. Peter Malinauskas and Chris Picton, you've got 2 years left to fix what you've inherited in turn. Situations like the death of this poor man, Eddie, died while waiting for an ambulance for hours.
Weekday mornings from 9.
Just unforgivable in a state with a gold-plated health system. Fix Health, Premier and Minister.
On 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
Quiet, please.
Bupa Health Insurance, preparing Australians for life on and off the court.
Is your bloated belly making you feel fat and miserable? Introducing new Caruso's Bloaties. Caruso's Bloaties contains peppermint and ginger, which are traditionally used in Western herbal medicine to relieve belly bloating, plus digestive enzymes to help your body digest lactose and fat. So if you're fed up with your bloated belly making you feel fat and miserable, try Caruso's Bloaties today. Caruso's Bloaties is available from leading pharmacies and health stores. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
If you're always the one taking the photo to avoid being in the photo, and selfies are something other people do, Next Smile Australia can help. Get a new set of long-lasting teeth you'll want to show off, and get them fast in as little as 1 day, thanks to Australia's leading all-on-4 dental surgeons and clinicians. Get the smile of your life with Next Smile Australia. Book your complimentary consultation now at nextsmile.com.au.
Mawson Lakes Mazda's 2023 plate clearance sale is on now. Discover amazing deals across the entire range, including free on-road costs on all cars. That's right, free on-road costs across the entire Mazda range. Hurry in to find your perfect model and colour. The sooner you get to the showroom, the better your chance of scoring your dream car. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city, Salisbury Highway.
If you've been holding off on a new roof, get in touch with Focus Home Improvements. We use SA's finest tradespeople, which just happens to be our tradespeople. We only use Australian quality materials, and believe me, you'll appreciate it years from now. Plus, as a bonus, we'll throw in up to 40 metres of free gutter guard. Up to 40 metres! New roof? Now's the time. Organise a free quote. Visit focushomeimprovements.com.au.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
Coming up to 28 minutes after 7, we're going to set the scene after 7:30 on what is the biggest federal political debate in Australia, and it's one that will dominate conversation for the next 5 months. If you're bored of it already, listen, for the next half an hour, you can get across all of the ins and outs of it, and you can feel like you've done your diligence as a good and informed voter at that point in time. But I can tell you, it's going to be something you're going to hear a lot more about over the course of the next few months. Let's talk sport in the meantime, though. Get $10 off your favourite kind of steak. Saturdays at the Excelsior Hotel. We just know it's a Borough hotel. Last night, Robbie and Timmy G had a fascinating debate about the future of match simulation training in the AFL and its impact on teams' injuries and, indeed, their ultimate success.
It was interesting that you brought that up because it just sprung to mind a conversation I had with an old teammate of mine, Rowan Smith.
Yeah.
And Rowan's a bit of he likes to think about his footy and all the rest of it. He said,
Natural thinker.
He said to me, I'm sick of match simulation. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, here we are in first week of Jan, and I'm worried that there might be a story tomorrow about Conor Rosie doing his knee, or, Butters is out injured with a shoulder or whatever because of match sim. He said, why do we have to do it? Why do we have to do it this early? And it was a good question for mine, because it's like, any session you go to, when I went and watched a session on the 10th of Jan at Alberton, they're into it. It's full on. And it's like watching, a 20-minute game. It's flat out. And, they're crashing in and tackling hard and all the rest of it that you do. And I sort of thought to myself, well, maybe there'll be a change at some stage where somebody goes, you know what, we're actually getting too many injuries. We might change it up, and then they have some success, and then all the clubs will go, that's a good idea.
What's the best way to win? By having your best 22.
You've got to have your... Yeah,
so if you've got your best 22 in form, fit and firing, you're more than likely to win than not.
This next month is the hardest month to be a real diehard footy fan, I think, in the calendar, because you're starting to build up your appetite for footy stories, but if your team's in the news in the next month, it's probably because something bad's happened. Because the only good things are sort of fluff pieces around someone's never been fitter, they've never run faster, or they've never lifted more, and you go, okay, yeah, cool. The stuff that cuts through, the real news stories, someone's out for the year, someone's injured. It's a hold your breath time of year. I agree. I don't know what the science says, but as a footy fan, it just feels like you're holding your breath for the next 4 weeks until some sort of real stuff begins. More on the sports show, more on the build-up to the season a little bit later tonight. 5AA News is coming up. We're talking federal politics next.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 33 with the 7:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettick.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
Police are preparing a report for the coroner after the death of a man at Hillcrest last night. A fire broke out in a retirement village unit on Foster's Road around 10 p.m. An 81-year-old woman managed to escape with minor injuries, but an 83-year-old man died. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says luckily no one else was injured.
Our fire cause investigators attended the scene last night to assist with the investigation. The cause of the fire is currently undetermined, but it's deemed non-suspicious.
A man accused of raping a 12-year-old girl on a southern suburbs train remains in custody after facing court. The 21-year-old's accused of sexually assaulting the girl on the Seaford Line train last Thursday and then following her off the train at Marion. CCTV and MetroCard records help police identify him. A home detention report has been ordered with another court date next week. The driver accused of being involved in a bus crash which killed 10 wedding guests in the New South Wales Hunter Valley has been charged with multiple new offences. More from Jack Hahn.
Brett Andrew Button has now been charged with 26 new offences. These include 10 charges of manslaughter for each of the victims who were killed and 16 counts of furious driving causing bodily harm, which relate to the manner in which Button was allegedly driving in the moments leading to the crash in the Hunter Valley in June of last year. This is a significant upgrade in the eyes of the law. If found guilty, the maximum sentence available for these fresh charges alone is over 280 years in prison.
Golf balls were hit through windows of a Happy Valley school overnight. Patrols attended the school on Education Road, finding around 27 windows had been damaged, and damaged cabinets were also found inside one of the buildings. Police are investigating and making further inquiries regarding possible break-ins at nearby golf clubs. The consumer watchdog's warning it could sue a large supermarket chain for tricking consumers about bogus bargains. Gabriel Hodson reports.
Was $3, now only $2. You've heard it before and it sounds pretty good, but what if that product was only $1 not that long ago? The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission is investigating so-called was now pricing, a practice where prices are overinflated for a short period so that any drop, however small, can be perceived as a bargain. The regulator has told the Financial Review that a large supermarket is in its sights, and without naming names, the ACCC says it's looking into legal action within the next 12 months. While the Commission says it has no power to investigate allegations of supermarket price gouging, it can do something about deceptive behaviour.
The men's Tour Down Under officially kicks off today in the Barossa. Stage 1 is 3 loops of the region, taking in Seppeltsfield, Greenock and Nuriutpa, and that means 3 visits to Mingler's Hill. Tour Director Stuart O'Grady says the forecast temperature in the mid-30s won't faze the peloton.
Went to the tennis and caught Miss Saigon and done a group ride today and then hope to catch the cricket.
Got here on Thursday, so I've been watching the 3 women's stages.
And Adelaide actress Sarah Snook is hot favourite to take out an Emmy today for her role in Succession. The former Scotch college student last night won a Critics' Choice Award following on from her win at the Golden Globes. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
There's plenty of stock ready for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's start with tennis. Alex de Minaur is into the second round of the Australian Open. That's after defeating Canadian Milos Raonic 6-7, 6-3, 2-love when the Canadian retired injured early in the third set. De Minaur's next challenge will be Italian Matteo Arnaldi.
For me, the only thing I'm really focused about is just my next round opponent, which is obviously Arnaldi, who's a quality Italian player with a lot of firepower, and he's started the year really well, so I'm going to be ready for that battle, and, you know, whatever happens, happens.
Aussie Jordan Thompson is also through to the second round after beating fellow Aussie Alexander Vukic, while Rinky Hijikata is out after a late-night 5-set loss to Jan-Lennard Struff. Japan's Naomi Osaka also lost her first-round match to Caroline Garcia 6-4, 7-6. To cricket, teammates are backing Steve Smith to make a successful transition to the top of the Australian batting order. Smith has been named as Dave Warner's replacement for the first test against the West Indies starting tomorrow in Adelaide. Alex Carey telling Wide World of Sports Smith is relishing the challenge of his promotion from number 4.
Yeah, I think for Steve it's an exciting new chapter for him. We know what he's done at number 4 and now he's keen to prove and show how good he is at the top of the order as well.
Well, the NFL wildcard playoff matches continue this morning with the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the red-hot Buffalo Bills. It was a huge result yesterday for long-suffering Detroit Lions fans as they held on to beat the LA Rams 24-23.
One more knee and business is done. And Detroit, for the first time in 32 years, your Lions have won a playoff game.
Yeah, big result. That audio thanks to ESPN. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now onto the traffic.
In Salisbury, a crash on the Salisbury Highway near Commercial Road. Also, Mount Barker Albert Road near the Wellington Road roundabout. In the city, roads closed for the tour down under on Victoria Square between Grote and Wakefield Street and through Tanunda as well, including Elizabeth Street between Murray and William Street. Check your speed. Gorge Road, Athelston and Saints Road, Salisbury Plain. Don't let joint pain or injuries get in the way of your sporting goals. Bauer finds range of sports compression and supports can help. Call 13-KNEES or go to 13knees.com.au today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Jayco Adelaide's factory sale has a van for every budget with savings up to $3,000. Hurry, ends Saturday.
Partly cloudy and 33 today, cooler tomorrow down to 24, partly cloudy on Thursday 25 and mostly sunny for Friday 30. At the moment 27. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Hi, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years we, the Lynn Andrews team, have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easier for investors and tenants. Everyone is treated with empathy and respect. It's the way we do business. It's the Lynn Andrews way. For residential and commercial property management, we're here to help you. Visit lynnandrews.com.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive of Western Hospital Henley Beach. We all hear that access to general practitioners is increasingly difficult. Healthcare costs are escalating and many question the value for money when accessing GPs. Western GP Clinic are proud to boast a level of care and expertise encompassing a holistic approach, whilst providing a value option. To discuss your GP questions, call 1300 934 325. That's 1300 934 325 or visit westernhospitalgp.com.au.
When you're gone, who gets the things most precious to you? Like your highly valued comic book collection or your 1976 Tirana in mint condition. If you don't have a will, you'll never know. Donlan Lawyers specialise in wills and estate planning. From the simplest to the most complex, Donlan Lawyers will give effect to your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com, Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide, and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
So, you want to do your bit for the planet? Drink Flurio Milk Company milk. Now available in a glass bottle, no plastic, no waste. Flurio Milk Company have partnered with The Udder Way to bring you milk in a glass bottle. Look for milk refill stations in your supermarket, purchase your own glass bottle, fill it, Take it home, drink it, and bring it back to use again. No plastic, no waste. Visit fleuriomilkco.com.au for locations.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
Good morning to you. It is the 16th of January, a Tuesday. I wanted to start the discussion this half hour on sort of framing the year in federal politics, or at least the first half of the year. And as I see it, you can frame it around three big subjects, one of which is a holdover from last year, and it's the ongoing cost of living crisis. Every single person listening right now knows the price of something that's gone up, or a change that's had to be made to their budgeting. There is no one in Australia that hasn't felt the pinch of the cost of living crisis, be it a byproduct of inflation or indeed some of the other things that are going on at the moment. That's clearly a big one for the federal government. The stage 3 tax cuts both feed into that and make it a little bit more problematic. They are legislated. Well, they are set to come in June this year at the budget. So this is poop or get off the pot for the federal government. You're either going to repeal the changes, or indeed they're going to be into law and a reality. And we'll get into that, the nitty gritty of that in some detail with Dr. Susan Stone very shortly. The other thing that frames all of this is the Dunkley by-election that's coming up as well, because remember, this is a federal government that doesn't enjoy the great majority that I think a lot of people do, given how unpopular Scott Morrison was at the end of his term as Prime Minister. So into that conversation, I want to introduce Zach De Silva, who's Nine Radio's federal politics reporter. Zach, good morning to you.
Good morning. I think you summed it up pretty well there, to be honest.
Well, let's get into some of the little bits and pieces of some of those areas. The big headliner, I think, remains for every person listening: cost of living. Are we going to have to wait to a traditional sort of federal budget time of year to see some relief flow through? Do you think, Zach, or does something like the Dunkley by-election mean the timeline might be accelerated for some of that relief?
Look, I mean, there's a chance it could be, but I mean, the Treasurer kind of late last year and even early this year has been making the point that the cost of living relief that they're considering, and we don't know what that's going to be yet. There's some suggestion it's going to come in the form of energy bill rebates or something like that, rather than direct cash handouts, because the government knows if you just give people money, they're going to spend it, and that will make inflation worse. So things like energy bill rebates are kind of on the cards. Jim Chalmers has made it really clear that they're likely to be handed down in that budget in May, and he knew about the Dunkley by-election then. So it's not like something's changed since he made those comments. So I think we will have to wait until May. I think, like you said, though, the Dunkley by-election, given Dunkley this seat in Melbourne, used to be a Liberal seat before Peter Murphy, the Labor MP, won it off them and was wildly popular in that seat and has since died from her kind of long-running battle with cancer. So I think that will be a really interesting test. It's not a super safe seat either way. And it's interesting, you talk about framing the year in politics. It's interesting seeing the framing around that by-election already, where Labor is framing it around, this is about Peter Murphy's legacy, this is about continuing the work that she's doing, and Peter Dutton was there just the other day saying, this is about crime, this is about law and order, this is about, these classic coalition issues that, that they've kind of, their bread and butter, essentially. So I think Dunkley will be an interesting test, but it all comes back to cost of living and kind of at a broader level. I think last year, the PM and Labor really were working to bring in some of these election commitments, things like the Voice to Parliament referendum, things like housing, the social housing fund that they've put in place. This is really the year, I think, where they get to govern, where they get to show, we can run the country, because it sounds like, there's probably going to be an election early, mid next year. So the latter part of this year and into next year is just going to be taken up with campaigning. This is really, I think, the kind of bread and butter of government happening this year.
I think you made a really good point in there that details the degree to which this is a threading the needle exercise for the federal government with regard to cost of living relief. Because you made the point that there's no there's no scope to really inject heaps of money into the economy at a time where inflation's not within the target band. You can't. At the moment you do that, the Reserve Bank's going to lift rates to offset it, and people with households are going to be copping it once again. But then the federal government's having to make the argument internally that they're going to release some $21 billion into the economy with regard to the Stage 3 tax cuts. If you look into your crystal ball, does that measure survive the internal wrangling that's going on in federal Labor at the moment?
Oh, that's always a dangerous game, isn't it, when you ask people to look into their crystal ball?
It is. It's unfair. Sorry, Zach.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to hedge my bets and say I don't actually know. But I think the test is going to... Like, Anthony Albanese has made it really clear from the start. Any big changes he wants to bring in, he wants a mandate for. He wants to take them to an election and get people to vote on them, essentially. He did that with the Voice of Parliament. He said, we have a mandate for this. We said we were going to hold a referendum. The people voted us in. We're going to hold a referendum. He did that with housing. He said, we're going to build 30,000 new social and affordable homes. The people voted for us. They voted for that. We're going to do that. He did that on energy with the safeguard mechanism. Eventually was forced to compromise with the Greens on that. But there was this big thing of, we've been voted in on this platform. We're now going to deliver this platform and we have a mandate for it. So I think something as big as scrapping the Stage 3 tax cuts, one, I think it would be, I'm not saying he couldn't do it, but it would be tricky politically given for so long he and all his ministers have said our position on the Stage 3 tax cuts haven't changed, they're going to kick in. I think if he were to scrap those, he would want to take it to an election. I think he would want to, and that's something that we'll kind of hear in the latter half of this year, which I don't know how that works, given they're supposed to kick in July. The other point that I think is worth making here, there is the argument that these tax cuts are, again, inflationary because you're giving people more money in their pockets that they can then go and spend. But I think the thing that's sometimes missed in this debate is the Stage 1 and 2 tax cuts have already come into force, and they were mainly targeted at low and middle income owners. So this argument that, you shouldn't be protecting the top end of town, which in some ways I totally agree with, but I think it does need to be acknowledged low and middle income earners have already had their tax cuts as part of this program. The Stage 3 ones have just been kicked down the road slightly because they were slightly more unpopular.
Yeah. Great chatting with you, Zach. Really appreciate it. I think it was a nice way of framing the year. Thanks for joining us on 5AA Breakfast.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Zach De Silva, Nine Radio's federal politics reporter. He left some meat on the bone with regard to the Stage 3 tax cuts conversation. For that, we want to introduce a regular on 5AA Breakfast and someone we really enjoy chatting with always, Dr. Susan Stone, the Credit Union SA Economics Chair at Uni SA. Dr. Stone, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Just putting our listeners in the picture, for those that hear Stage 3 tax cuts and sort of their eyes glaze over, it's explained fairly simply. It's the removal of a couple of tax brackets, essentially. The 45,000 to 120,000 bracket that pays 32.5%, and the 120 to 180,000 bracket that paid 37%. Everyone from 45,000 to 200 pays 30%. So they flatten it out. And of course, then the greatest benefits are enjoyed by the people at the upper end of the bracket and those earning over 200,000. That's how it works. That's the mechanics of it. I'm interested in the economics of it. And we started getting into in that conversation with Zach that some of the things that the RBA is going to have a look at. Let's put the biggest component of this on the table then. Do you think that these will have an inflationary impact to the degree that the Reserve Bank will be moved to act? Or is there a way in which these tax cuts can be introduced and we can continue this slow march back towards the target band?
Right. Well, I have to agree with Zach. I have to agree with the fact that the biggest impact on spending that's kind of runs in the inflationary type has already been introduced through the Stage 1 and 2 tax cuts. These Stage 3 tax cuts, as you mentioned, it's really going to affect people who make between really over 120, because the people who were making over 120 or who are making over 120,000, they were paying 37%. They're now going to pay 30%. That's a big change. Those people that were up to 200,000. So that group are the ones that are going to be mainly affected. And this group tend to spend their money on different things. Different income brackets spend their money on different items. And the higher you go on the income brackets, the more you tend to save a greater proportion of your income. You spend it on things like travel and some other types of investments. So they won't be directly inflationary in the sense that I'm sure some people may go out and buy a new car, some people may put an addition on their house. These things tend to be more inflationary than savings or spending your money somewhere else. So I'm skeptical how much of an impact it'll have on inflationary pressures right now.
What do you make of the argument put forward by some that this was a measure introduced to combat bracket creep? All these changes were largely that because we have static tax brackets and people's wages grow over years, we were just having a huge amount of the population in a tax bracket they never probably should have been in, or it wasn't designed in such a way that we capture so many in a higher tax bracket. Yet, in recent years, we've seen a real flattening of wage growth, and it hasn't grown as quickly as was predicted when these changes were introduced. What's your assessment of that argument against going forward with these cuts?
Yeah, I'm actually quite sympathetic to that argument. We've seen real wages actually decline, very slow growth. You can't really confuse growth of CPI with growth in wages. As you just said, these aren't the same thing, and it's really the growth in wages that we need to think about when we think about tax income taxing, because that's what gets taxed. And when you have such big brackets, I mean, some people are going to be you're going to be paying more tax when you earn more money, and that's just the way it is. And that doesn't really have much to do with going from one tax bracket to another. So somebody who was earning, $75,000 and then got a bump up to $80,000 will pay a bit more taxes because that last $10,000 gets taxed at the 32% rate as opposed to a different rate. So you will be paying, mathematically, you'll be paying some more taxes as a proportion of your income. They often call that tax bracket creep as well. But that's just because you're earning more money. So that doesn't really have to do with changing the actual brackets. Now this one between 45 to 200,000, that's a huge range. So for the vast majority of people, they're going to be in that bracket for most of their working life, and that's 30%. And since the average income in South Australia was already only being taxed at a marginal rate of 32%, the difference is only going to be about 2% at the margin. So it's not a big change, but overall to the government's revenue, it may be quite a big change. So it is something to consider, the pros and cons of whether it's needed or, every once in a while it's true tax brackets need to be changed because, as you said, incomes rise and you don't want people to just pay more taxes because of that. But whether it's needed at this particular moment, that's a question.
Yeah. I asked Zach an unfair crystal ball question. I want to ask you one, Dr. Stone, as well. Sure. Unfortunately, it's just the refrain of the radio host early in a year. But I'm wondering whether you foresee any rate cuts this year before the end of the year.
Toward the end of the year, we may see something. I'm not completely, negative on that. I think, if there is one rate increase, which I'm kind of not really thinking that's a strong possibility, but of course it's more than zero that there could be a rate increase. We don't know what we'll know at the end of January what the last quarter of 2023 looked like for CPI, which will be a big influence on what the decision is in February. So if that's surprisingly strong or it's strong in an area that's seen to be particularly problematic, then we may see a rate increase in February. But after that, I think, things will play out. We probably won't see much movement at all. And if we do, come into a point where the economy is starting to stall toward the second half of the year, I don't think it's beyond possible that they may cut.
Okay. Something to look forward to. Dr. Stone.
Yeah, we hope.
We always appreciate your time. Great to chat with you.
Thanks.
Dr. Susan Stone from the Credit Union SA Economics Chair at University of South Australia. We've got some calls on a range of topics we're going to get to after the break. 8223 0000 is the number. Every single contribution to the program goes in the running to win a $100 unique Home Styles food voucher that we'll announce at 9 o'clock this morning. Let's check traffic. Thanks to Novita Tech, who can support you to live more independently. The summer sale's on now. Visit novitatech.com.au.
This could ruffle a few feathers. In Hope Valley, some ducks are crossing the road on Grand Junction Road near Awonga Road. Got a crash in Salisbury on the Salisbury Highway near Commercial. Commercial Road. In Mount Barker, also on Albert Road near the Wellington Road roundabout. In the city, roads are closed for the tour down under on Victoria Square between Grote and Wakefield Street. Smile for the camera, South Terrace and the Parklands. Look for the RAA sign at over 400 independent RAA approved repairers across SA. You know you can trust them because RAA do. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Need a forklift? Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Toyota is the world's #1 forklift brand with a great range of pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options, Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Get a Toyota forklift. If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Local and experienced trade specialists.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
Now let's see what's in the swear jar at Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens.
Boy, that's a cookie jar.
Oh, busted. My mistake. Let's see. Here it is. Here's one from Renette, an interior designer at Buy Urban for over 20 years. Renette swears to ensure your dream bathroom becomes a wonderful reality. For a team that swears to deliver on quality and service, see Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens, Adelaide's home renovation experts. Wouldn't mind a cookie.
Energy providers are still emptying your wallet, but the good news is that now it's cheaper to generate your own electricity using solar and batteries. NRG Solar's expertise can guide you to owning your energy sooner. As a trusted retailer, they provide you with top-tier solar battery technology, complete with a 10-year warranty, blackout protection, and user-friendly apps for ultimate control. Fight back with NRG Solar and take charge of your electricity. Visit nrgsolar.com.au today.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
4 minutes to 8. Good text from Carol. And Carol, I'm going to put this on the agenda to chat with Sean Fuster about tomorrow. Carol says, does anyone know why this alleged rapist of the 12-year-old girl on the public transport cannot be named? Apparently, it wouldn't reveal the identity of the victim, as this was a random attack. Carol, thank you. My armchair reading of it and reading the problem was simply that the identity and identifying the person alleged to have committed the crime on CCTV is sort of germane to the defence case. So perhaps they don't want that prejudice. That is, that the defence is saying, well, you can't really tell who it is from the CCTV. And the suppression on the identity is only lasting 7 days. So it's clearly something that's going to be reviewed very quickly. Because I'm with you, Carol. Usually in these cases, every effort's made not to identify the victim, and rightfully so. So we're going to put that to Sean Fuster tomorrow morning, and we'll get to the bottom of that then. Sue in Henley Beach says the problem with the system is that it does not cater for the key reason it exists, that is the judicial system, punishment for crimes. Rehabilitation comes a distant second in any consideration, especially in horrific cases such as this. Sue, you speak for the vast majority of people, but the vast majority of people don't work in the legal system, it turns out. Mark from Trott Park says, I've worked out the perfect way to find anything you've lost. Go and buy another one, and then you'll definitely find the one you've lost without a doubt. I'm with you on that front, Mark. We're talking about things we've lost this morning because of Warnergate. Dave Warner's missing baggy green cap that was taken out of his baggage. There's aspersions cast about people in the transport industry and who'd done this. They'd rifled through his stuff. Well, it turns out this morning it was simply in another bag. No one was to blame. So we're talking about doing a Dave Warner when you've created a fuss about losing something and then found out it wasn't actually lost. Mary in Flagstaff Hills called in to talk about cruises, though, because the cruise industry's booming at the moment. And Mary, it sounds like you're one of the 1 in 4 people who've booked a cruise in for this year.
Good morning, Will. Yes, my husband and I are very fortunate. We were due to do a cruise 4 years ago and COVID killed it. So we're off to a European river cruise. We leave late June and Amsterdam to Budapest, and then a few days in Prague, and then back to Adelaide.
I've looked at those boats online, Mary. They look fantastic. So have you done a river cruise before, or will this be your first one?
This is the first river cruise. We've done a Mediterranean cruise. We've done a cruise to New Zealand. It sounds like privileged old people, don't we?
You've worked hard your whole life, Mary. You deserve to have a bit of fun.
Yes, well, I was born the same year as your dad, so that's how old I am.
Is that right? Oh, he wouldn't consider that old, Mary. He thinks he's in his prime.
No, I'm not old.
He's still working.
No, I don't do that four-letter word anymore.
No. You do cruising, and that's. I think that's a much better way to spend your time. Well, you have a wonderful time, Mary. I'm delighted you've got to pick up the trip where it got left off because of COVID. That's great news.
Thank you.
Mary, thank you. You're in the running to win the $100 Unique Homestyles food voucher. The remarkable thing about that cruise data earlier that blows my mind, 35% of people planning a cruise in 2024 are under the age of 35. 35%. The industry's just changed remarkably in a very short space of time. 5AA News is coming up. We've got a bit of a retrospective breaking at 8 after 8 o'clock. There's a bit of news that broke in the last 24 hours that if you listen to this program, you would have heard about 3 months ago, I think. We'll jog your memory very, very shortly. And then, looking forward to this, Nicola Triglow, Sarah Snook's drama teacher, is going to join us on 5AA Breakfast from the Scotch College, Adelaide, where she, well, I'm sure Miss Triglow will say that, she taught her everything she knows. Today, Sarah Snook in line to win an Emmy for her performance on the program Succession. That's going to happen in the next couple of hours. Fingers crossed she wins it, but her drama teacher coming up on 5AA Breakfast next. I'm here with Bronte from Toop and Toop. And Bronte, you and the team at Toop will be on the tools right across the holiday season. So can you tell us what buyer activity is going to look like over the coming weeks?
That's right. It's the festive season, but the real estate industry never goes on holidays. With depleted stock levels across Adelaide, buyer demand continues to outweigh supply. Home values remain at record high levels, and that's unlikely to change anytime soon.
So if that's the case, does it really matter who sells your home?
There is a great risk in putting a hot buyer in front of an inexperienced agent. Using an agent without the right skill set and experience could literally cost you tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, with a team of unrivaled experience, Toop and Toop are perfectly placed to help maximise the return on your home. Visit toop.com.au to find out more.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 33 with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
From chips to replacements, make Complete Windscreens your insurer repairer of choice. CompleteWindscreens.com.au.
An 83-year-old man's died in a unit fire at a retirement village in Hillcrest. An 81-year-old woman managed to escape with minor injury. She's been taken to the RAH. The blaze broke out just after 10 p.m. in the unit on Foster's Road, causing extensive damage. The cause is undetermined, but is not considered suspicious. A home detention bail report's being prepared for a man accused of raping a 12-year-old girl on a train last week. The 21-year-old is accused of sexually assaulting her on the Seaford line and then getting off the train at Marion and following her. The alleged incident was recorded on CCTV, with facial recognition technology helping identify the Aldinga Beach man. Hamas has released a new video which appears to confirm the deaths of 2 Israeli hostages. The terrorist group yesterday released footage showing 2 men and a woman held captive, warning their fate would be disclosed today. A new video shows the woman alive alongside 2 bodies. A US-owned cargo ship has been struck by a missile from Iranian-backed Houthi militants in the Red Sea. Edward Godfrey reports.
The US says the Iran-backed Houthis are responsible for this latest attack. A US-owned cargo ship was struck by a missile off the coast of Yemen in the Gulf of Aden around 4 p.m. local time. The US command says an anti-ship ballistic missile hit the MV Gibraltar Eagle, a 199-metre-long container ship. There were no injuries and no serious damage despite a fire breaking out. This comes after US and UK strikes on Houthi targets in recent days. Giving his first statement on the coordinated strikes, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said 13 Houthi targets have been destroyed.
Another major event on the local calendar starts today, the 2024 Men's Tour Down Under. Race director Stuart O'Grady says a lot of planning goes into the stages.
The beauty with the Tour Down Under is that I've tried to make a nice balance of bonus sprint opportunities, sprint occasions, and then, a bit of climbing as well.
The opening stage is 3 loops of the Barossa, starting and finishing in Tanunda, the bikes winding their way through Seppeltsfield, Angaston and Uriutpa. Supermarkets around the country could soon be subject to an inquiry into price gouging. The ACCC is taking aim at the rising cost of goods, investigating one particular company accused of misleading customers about bargains. Ritchie's IGA Chief Executive Fred Harrison says they've been working to do the best they can by consumers.
We've been working as a network now for the last 3, 4, 5 years to really improve our competitiveness in price, and we are getting more and more competitive each and every year. So we're very much about trying to provide the consumer with the best price possible.
And a man's been charged with vandalising a Brisbane supermarket. The 40-year-old allegedly set off a flare at the Woolworths Metro Tenerife before tagging the store with Pro-Australia Day graffiti. He's been charged with several offences, including willful damage, and will face court next month. And an arrest warrant's been issued for former AFL player agent Ricky Nixon after he failed to appear at the Melbourne Magistrates Court. The 58-year-old's accused of selling fake football signed by Melbourne Demons players, telling buyers their money would go to charity. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
There's plenty of stock ready for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Alex de Minaur will be seeking revenge on his next opponent at the Australian Open. Jordan Tumridge explains.
A walkover for Alex de Minaur to begin his Australian Open campaign at Melbourne Park last night. The 10th seed lost the first set to Milos Raonic but claimed the second before Raonic retired hurt in the third. Next up, unseeded Italian Matteo Arnaldi, with de Minaur revealing he has extra motivation to beat him.
I do associate Matteo as the guy that beat us in the Davis Cup final, so I'll do my best to hopefully get some revenge.
Also overnight, an Aussie on the rise, Rinky Hijikata, fell just short of an upset over 24th seed Jan-Lennard Struff, losing a 5th set tiebreaker. And Naomi Osaka suffered a straight sets loss to Caroline Garcia in her Grand Slam return after a year on the sidelines.
Australia's cricketers will again hit the nets at Adelaide Oval this morning as they prepare for tomorrow's first test against the West Indies. The Aussies will have a different look to their side, with Steve Smith set to open the batting while Cam Green will bat at number 4. Captain Pat Cummins will address the media after their session. Meantime, the Hobart Hurricanes have leapfrogged the Melbourne Stars into 5th spot on the BBL table following their 7-run win at the MCG last night. Well, the Santos Tour Down Under will begin for the men today with a 144-kilometre stage that begins and finishes in Tanunda. At this Soccer Asian Cup, Iraq has beaten Indonesia 3-1, Jordan smashed Malaysia 4-0, while Australia plays its next match against Syria on Thursday night our time. And the NFL wildcard playoff match between the Pittsburgh Steelers and Buffalo Bills is just getting underway in near freezing conditions, with the match already having been delayed by 24 hours because of heavy snow. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
If you hear some quacking in Hope Valley, there's some ducks crossing the road on Grand Junction Road near Awunga Road. In Salisbury, a crash on the Salisbury Highway near Commercial Road. Also in Mount Barker, Albert Road near the Wellington Road roundabout. In the city, roads closed for the Tour Down Under on Victoria Square between Grote and Wakefield Street. Through Tanunda as well, including Murray Street between Fielder and Bridge Street. Check your speed, Peachy Road, Davern Park. Pick up a rich, velvety, smooth barista coffee at Jack's Cafe with $2 medium barista coffees available all day on app only and pick up at Hungry Jack's. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Jayco Adelaide's factory sale has a van for every budget, with savings up to $3,000. Hurry, ends Saturday.
Partly cloudy and 33 today, cooler tomorrow down to 24, partly cloudy on Thursday 25 and mostly sunny for Friday 30. At the moment 28. More news as it happens on 5AA.
City Discount Tires.
Get saving this month at City Discount Tires. When you buy 3 Wild Peak AT3W all-terrain tyres, you'll get the 4th tyre free. The perfect tyre for your next adventure. City Discount Tires are a proud multi-tyre and wheel brand retailer offering great service at great prices. Visit citydiscounttires.com.au to find your nearest store. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value.
City Discount Tires.
IKEA is here to turn your New Year's resolution into a storage solution. IKEA family members can enjoy a fresh start with 15% off any chest of drawers. So make it happen today with IKEA. Offer ends January 29. Terms and conditions apply.
Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
9 after 8, it is hot outside already. Right now in the city, 28.6 degrees, heading for a top of 33 today. That summer we were complaining about yesterday, I'm using the royal we. Maybe I should just say I jinxed it into reality, I think. Well, maybe anyway, just for today, because it gets cool over the course of the next couple of days before heating up for the weekend. We'll get some mid-30s temperatures for the rest of the week. Things heating up in Hollywood in the next couple of hours. We've got the Emmys taking place in the United States. 2 huge Australian chances, Sarah Snook from right here in Adelaide, and indeed Elizabeth Debicki, who played Diana in The Crown, did a wonderful job. I think, frankly, Sarah Snook's role as Shiv Roy in Succession may have been one of the greatest performances by an Australian actor or actress in the history of television. It was utterly superb. We're going to be chatting with her drama teacher, Nicola Triglow from the Scotch College Adelaide in just a moment. Really looking forward to that chat. The Emmys, of course, you'll find out the results over the course of the day. Also coming up, and something that's happening here much closer to Adelaide today, the Tour Down Under. The men's race starts just after 11 o'clock. The voice of cycling, Phil Liggett, is, of course, here for his 24th Tour Down Under. He's been here right from the very beginning. He was intimately involved in the setup of the whole thing, and he'll join us on the program after 8:30 to talk about the race today and, indeed, over the course of the week. Now, I promised you yesterday we wouldn't continually do Breaking at 8s in David's absence, but... Been intrigued in the last 24 hours about revelations that Pearl Jam might play at the FIVEAA Adelaide 500. Extraordinary. Pearl Jam, one of the biggest bands in the world. What a great get. Breaking news, though. Have a listen to this from Breaking at 8, back on the 29th of November.
Obviously, there's a lot of speculation about who is going to headline at next year's V8 Supercar. Now, Rowie is going big on the Coldplay rumour, but we are hearing that there is another band that is very much in the frame, Will, and it is these guys. The unmistakable voice of Mr. Edward Vedder, the lead singer of Pearl Jam.
Does he go by Edward very often?
I think he does. Yeah.
I think he does. Yeah, the very formal David Pemberthy there. Edward Vedder. Pearl Jam, 29th of November. Don't say I don't do anything nice for you, David. 11 minutes after 8, another massive international star started out right here in Adelaide. Sarah Snook, the star of Succession. She's doing a one-person show about the portrait of Dorian Gray in London's West End at the moment. One of the most talented actors to ever come out of this country. Came out of Scotch College Adelaide, right here in Adelaide. And indeed, we have her drama teacher, Nicola Triglow, on the line, the head of arts at Scotch College Adelaide. Nicola, good morning to you and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Will. It's nice to be here with you. And as you said, very warm this morning, which is lovely.
It is. It's a beautiful day. Do you get nervous when your former pupil is up for a massive gong like an Emmy?
Yes, I do, because, you know, it's just sort of so unbelievably surreal, that she's at this point in her career. And because I've been so blessed to have known her since she was 11, I've, had the joy of the experience of being on the ride with her along the way. So when I know for her that the most important thing for her is her art and her performances and the way in which she's able to share and communicate her characters, that's the most important thing to her. But the fact that people are able to see that and recognise her in this more sort of obvious way with the awards, I know that it's incredibly exciting and incredibly complimentary as well. So from that sort of, area, I do feel the nerves as well, yes.
So when she was 11, was she telling everyone that she wanted to be an actress?
100%.
Right.
Absolutely. Like, from the moment I met her, she came onto the grounds. She was incredibly nervous, very sweet. She seemed quite shy. Now, it's always hard to know, Will, what an actor's going to be like from how they sort of seem when you first meet them, because quite often the ones who are quite quiet and thoughtful are the ones who are able to really live in the character and really explode on the stage. So, I was like, okay, and there we were in this big room, and she's waiting on the side on a chair, and she's got her legs sort of together and her arms on her lap, and I was like, okay, and then she came up, and she stood there in front of me, and the lights went on, and bang, into character, just spoke the words in a way that is hard to sort of explain.
Wow.
It's when an actor is able to put their voice and their body and their face together as a three-part unit and use those three parts, because we actually only have those three parts, to be able to act and to be able to, share a character. And she just channeled it through like a ray of light, and it hit me. And I was like, oh, okay, pretty sure that we're going to be giving a performing arts scholarship to Sarah Snook. That's a yes from me, everybody.
So you knew straight away this was an exceptionally talented person.
Absolutely. I knew straight away, as soon as the first word came out of her mouth when she was 11 years old, when she was standing there in front of me, I knew that this girl could go as far as she wanted, because she had everything that you need in order to move. She had instinctive talent, she was intelligent, she was incredibly thoughtful, and she is determined and incredibly focused. And all of those things were obvious so quickly. Yeah, and then, absolutely, as she moved through year 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, those things just became more and more and more obvious.
She's provided some comments and appeared obviously on the front page of the Advertiser today and on page 3 today, talking about that despite the talent that you saw in this obviously incredible confidence in performance, that she personally had some difficulty in how she saw herself, and she perhaps didn't see that same person that you did and others did in seeing her perform. Were you aware of that she wasn't necessarily as confident as she should be given her extraordinary talent?
Oh, no, absolutely. She actually found school at times a bit challenging in terms of her own sort of peers, because a lot of her friends were a little bit older than her as well. She was very much in the performing arts area. She was really in the drama area. She spent all of her time in my office and all of her time in the Bar Smith and the green room, and she spent recess and lunch and after hours rehearsing plays, being part of that culture. And so when those older kids left, she would sort of recreate friendships again within the drama world. But in terms of the way she saw herself, I know that she sort of felt a bit awkward and she felt a bit unsure about sort of the way she interacted with the world at times. But to be honest, where I stood, I saw this incredibly passionate, honest, sort of truthful girl who was able to stand up for what she believed in, because she was the kind of girl that if she saw something that she did not like in terms of harassment or bullying or just anything at all, she's the kind of girl who would be like, no,
right.
No,
Yeah.
that's not not on. And I think as she got older, that just became easier and easier for her to do. Incredibly confident on the stage, but didn't feel as confident off the stage. And certainly after school, she's just sort of become more and more sort of confident within herself because, you know, she knows who she is. Yeah.
It sounds like you guys enjoyed a terrific relationship working together at the school. Do you keep in contact at all? Do you flicker a text and say all the best or anything like that?
Well, actually, yes, I am very pleased to say that I've got a really good, strong friendship with her and also quite a few of the students who were in the year above her and the year above her. So she was in year 10 and the kids in year 11 and 12 at that time that she was friends with were all still really close. But yes, I do. I was actually just having a little chat with her yesterday, and she was just saying, you know, that it's just incredibly surreal, everything, you know, that's happening. And she obviously has her little girl as well, and so she's just feeling incredibly lucky and blessed at the moment. So yes, when she's here in Adelaide, we have a little martini, or last time we went down to Henley Beach and we had a nice meal at FIVEAA and a good chat for hours, and I always pick her brains about plays and scripts that she might have seen that might work for my kids, etc. So yeah, no, she's very
That's
funny.
great.
Yeah, she's just so funny too. She's got a really sort of dry sense of humour. She's really clever, and I really enjoy her company. Like, I like to be with her. She makes me laugh, and she's cheeky.
Well,
yeah.
She's won a Golden Globe, People's Choice Award. Hopefully she'll add an Emmy to the collection today. And you deserve credit too, Nicola, for your role in shaping one of our great talented exports from South Australia. Thank you so much for talking to us this morning.
Oh, that is my absolute pleasure.
Nicola Triglow, the Head of Arts at Scotch College, Adelaide, Sarah Snook's drama teacher. Now we need to put in all the usual caveats about watching television in 2023, 2024. It's never been harder to have a conversation about what people watch. You'll know this from when you talk to them. They'll say, have you seen the show? And you say, oh, I don't know. What's that? What's it on? What's it on? We can't talk about it as a universal experience anymore. So for those that have seen it, they'll know it was one of the great roles. For those that haven't, you should try and check it out. The show is called Succession. But just simply know this, we have a wonderfully talented person that was brought up here in Adelaide that is going to be dominating Hollywood and our screens for many, many years to come. Let's check traffic thanks to Novita Tech. They can support you to live more independently. Summer sales on now. Visit novitatech.com.au.
Residual delays in Salisbury following a crash on the Salisbury Highway near Commercial Road. Two are down under road closures in place in the city of Victoria Square between Grote and Wakefield Street. Same in Tanunda, including Murray Street between Filder and Bridge Street and many other areas until 6:30 tonight. 1 till 4:30 this afternoon, John Street between Murray and William Street. Works continuing today in Jeps Cross on Port Wakefield Road near Matthews Road. Speeds are at 60 both ways. Does riding give you a sense of freedom? Do you feel so connected to the road? If you love riding and want to keep riding, back off. Think road safety. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
G'day, what you looking at? Shh, be quiet. Oh, what you looking at?
Oh, well, isn't it obvious? It's remarkable. The detail and finish of Michelangelo with the raw beauty of Monet. I've never seen anything like it.
I have. I've got one at home. Driving it every day.
What? What do you mean? That's ridiculous.
It's an exposed aggregate driveway. Beautiful.
All right, who's the artist?
Adelaide Exposed Concrete. Best on ground all year round.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive of Western Hospital Henley Beach. Eye healthcare, cataract surgery and glaucoma management are all health issues that can appear unexpectedly, and specialist treatment is often required. Western Eye Care at Western Hospital boasts 7 ophthalmic surgeons, on-site diagnostics, surgery options and a wide range of aftercare for all eye healthcare needs. For more information, visit westernhospital.com.au or call 8159 1200. That's 8159 1200.
It's a frightening thought, but what if you lost the capacity to manage your financial affairs? If you're not at the helm, who makes medical or health decisions? Who controls the family trust? From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers will answer your questions and help carry out your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com. Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide, and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
Mawson Lakes Mazda's 2023 Play Clearance Sale is on now. Discover amazing deals across the entire range, including free on-road costs on all cars. That's right, free on-road costs across the entire Mazda range. Hurry in to find your perfect model and colour. The sooner you get to the showroom, the better your chance of scoring your dream car. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city, Salisbury Highway.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings and Nick Xenophon.
Well, not today. We are hoping Nick will join us at some point over the course of the week. How did that sneak in there, Sam? Surprise reveal for everyone here at 5AA Breakfast. Anyway, we might have some friends on the show over the course of the remainder of the week. But we hope their promotion pops up at a time of our choosing. Nonetheless, we got some great texts coming through. Remember, every contribution to the program this morning is in the running to win a $100 unique Home Styles food voucher. All these texts are in the running, and I think they're worth talking about. A couple of them I'll bracket together as cost of living comments. Ray says, cost of living crisis? Really? Booked out cruises, concerts, sporting events, overseas holidays, record retail sales, and general spending doesn't add up. Fred says, I'm not sure how you measure the cost of living, but I went to Harbour Town, couldn't get a park. Tons of people went to IKEA, very hard to get a park. And Tea Tree, it's not that long after Christmas. People are still shopping. Puzzles me about the cost of living. I think we had similar comments, Ray and Fred, and I take what your point. At around the time of the Black Friday sales, when everyone said, well, what's the cost of living if Black Friday's done record numbers? And sometimes the cost of living pressures materialise in ways that for people, a lot of people don't mean they don't spend, they just change the way they spend. So I'm guessing a lot of people that book cruises were people that usually booked European holidays that were more expensive. And a lot of the people that are shopping at Harbour Town, do the outlets, were people that usually shopped at David Jones in the city or somewhere. And the people that are at IKEA, maybe they went to other more expensive boutique furniture stores before that. Certainly there are people that have to do without when there's issues with the cost of living. But I think sometimes there's just changes in the behaviour of how people that still have money to spend do so. And it suddenly looks like, well, there's a lot more people out there spending money because the hard data tells us less is being spent. Retail confidence is down. Retail sales are down, all up. The numbers tell us less money is being spent by people. It just doesn't look that way sometimes. But they're excellent comments, and I take that. Rob says, it's funny that the government's opinion is if you give people money, they'll just spend it, all the while spending money on things we would never spend it on, as if it was in our hands, i.e. referendums. Yeah. I don't think that would have been spent. A lot of money would have been spent on that by the average person. Someone else here said, good morning. Bob says that with all the kerfuffle being created over the supposed missing baggy green of Dave Warner, I'm reminded of the fact that attention deficit disorder also has an adult version. Alan's called in on the story of doing a Dave Warner, that is losing something and then maybe finding that, well, it wasn't lost, although I don't know in Alan's case. Did you really lose it, Alan, or did you do a Dave Warner?
No, I actually lost it, Will, and good morning to you. Going back years ago, I went to Cash and Treasure at Kipps Cross, and the missus and that was going back to the car, and I had to go to the toilet, and I turned around and said to her, I'll meet you back at the car. So I went to the loo and back again, and I was sitting in the car looking for her. And about 5 minutes later, I decided to go to look for her, and there she was sitting in someone else's car 4 cars down.
Oh, no!
They had the identical car, and my key must have fitted their car.
You're kidding? I didn't know that was a thing.
Bad luck. The misery continued after that, didn't it?
Alan, thank you for that. You're in the running to win that $100 unique Home Styles food voucher. We've got a text from someone here following our conversation with Snera Snook's drama teacher saying, how do you say the surname? Is it Snook or Snook? Is you hear it both ways? We had this conversation at Channel 7 yesterday, actually, and I went and heard Sarah Snook herself saying it. You can find it on YouTube. There's a very helpful group of snippets of people in Hollywood saying their full names. So she says Snook, so I'm going to say Snook. Patricia in Glenelga's called in. Morning to you, Patricia.
Yeah, hey, Will, welcome back. Now, we talk about what people are spending money on. I live in the Bay, and I go out for coffee every morning.
Yep.
And I go to my favourite coffee shop, which is the Mediterranean, around on the corner of the Broadway.
Lovely.
Packed every morning of the week. Every other cafe along the Broadway, packed every morning of the week. I went down to the new West Beach Lifesaving Club, very nice, by the way, the other day. Couldn't get a table. I went when I was a young woman or a young married woman or even a middle-aged woman, and I'm beyond that now, you never thought this is a phenomena, and it costs money. I've worked out that my coffee drinking costs more than my private health cover per month. So people, we talk about what people are spending money on. Nobody's holding back on going. You go past any pub, dining rooms, try to get in somewhere on Australia Day for lunch with a group of people. It's a phenomena.
The coffee phenomenon is a huge change, isn't it? It just feels like you don't have to. How far do you have to travel in Adelaide to find a coffee store? 2 blocks?
Well, I walk around the corner.
That's right. You don't have to travel. What's the biggest distance between coffee shops in Adelaide?
Not many.
It's not far, is it?
No,
you're right, Patricia. It's a great call. Thank you. Have you had your morning coffee, or are you off to get it now?
I'm off to get it now, Will.
Well, you have an excellent morning, Patricia, and enjoy that.
Thank you.
If you can get a seat, of course. 28 minutes after 8, 5AA News is coming up. On the other side of it, we're going to turn our attention to Tour Down Under. It starts just after 11 this morning in the Barossa Valley. And we're going to be chatting with the voice of cycling, one of the great sporting commentators in history. Phil Liggett will be my guest.
There's a lot to love about learning just about anything with WEA. Real-time, face-to-face learning with like-minded people. For the adventurers, take an introduction to karate or dance through the ages learning Baroque, Renaissance and Regency dancing. Visit wea-sa.com.au.
The sun is shining, so it's the perfect time to farewell hefty electricity bills and welcome a brighter future with NRG Solar. Unlock the power of the sun with cutting-edge solar battery technology that's backed by a rock-solid 10-year warranty, saves you thousands, and empowers you to control your energy usage like never before with a simple-to-use app. This summer, add value to your home and say goodbye to blackouts. Don't wait. Visit nrgsolar.com.au. That's nrgsolar.com.au.
G'day everyone, Cornsey here. Now, I know a great team and I see one, and the South Australian hydraulic team I rate the highest is BL Shipway. I've known them for a long time. David Shipway is one of the best blokes you'll ever meet. BL Shipway, they've been looking after your hydraulic and pneumatic needs since 1953 with brands like Ryco, Rexroth, Enerpac, Hydac, Oilpath, EasyFit and many more. And if you can't get to them, they'll send a Ryco 24/7 van to you anytime, anywhere. blshipway.com.au, the South Australian team you can count on.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 33 with the 8:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
A man's died in a fire at a retirement village in Hillcrest. The blaze broke out on Foster's Road just after 10 p.m. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says the unit was fully ablaze when crews arrived.
An 81-year-old woman managed to escape the inferno with minor injuries and she was taken to the RAF for treatment. But sadly, an 83-year-old man died at the scene. So extensive damage was caused to the property and to the adjoining unit, but thankfully the next door neighbours weren't home at the time, so there was no further injuries.
The cause is undetermined but not considered suspicious. Golf balls have smashed dozens of windows at a Happy Valley school overnight. Police were called just before midnight, finding over 100 golf balls scattered throughout the school grounds on Education Road. Cabinets inside one of the buildings were also damaged. Vape reforms could see a spike in visits to the GP as patients seek prescriptions for e-cigarettes containing nicotine. Health Department analysis suggests more people could take up tobacco smoking as a result. RACGP President Dr Nicole Higgins says medical professionals are there to help patients quit altogether.
We know that the best combination is with using vapes and other replacement options such as patches or gum, and the important thing is that we need to plan and we need to taper and bring in other resources such as Quitline.
Another probe into the nation's supermarkets is being considered by the federal government. Treasurer Jim Chalmers has confirmed he's in talks with the consumer watchdog about an inquiry into alleged price gouging. Labor's already reviewing the voluntary code of conduct covering the sector. The Barossa will host today's stage opener for the 2024 Men's Tour Down Under. The cyclists will cover 144 k's while completing 3 loops starting in Tanunda. Commentator Phil Liggett will be keeping a close eye on a quick-step rider.
Somebody who can do pretty much everything is a guy called Julien Alaphilippe. He's a Frenchman. He came here 10 years ago. It was the very first World Tour race he ever rode, and in the 10 years that's gone by, he's been twice a world champion, and he's led the Tour de France, and he's done just about everything he could do.
After months of delays due to strikes, the Emmys are being held in Los Angeles, with Australians Sarah Snook and Elizabeth Debicki set to continue their golden run. More from Jonathan Kersley.
The final touches are being put on outside the venue for the 75th Annual Emmys Awards in Los Angeles. These awards were due to be held back in September, but were delayed due to the writers' and actors' strikes. And it could be a big night for Australia on American television's Night of Nights. Murray Bartlett, Sarah Snook and Elizabeth Debicki leading the charge. Anna Torv and producer Fletcher Malls also nominated in respective categories. Succession leads the way with 27 nominations overall, and it could be a big night for Ted Lasso and its star Jason Sudeikis after its farewell season.
And the largest ever Australian-built commercial satellite is on its way to the US, where it'll be launched into orbit later this year. Space Machines companies promising to clean up broken satellites in orbit. Co-founder Rajat Kulreshtha says more than 50% of satellites fail in their first year, and until now there's been no solution.
It's a little bit like being on the road, a car breaks down, and you just have to leave it there and go buy a new car. That's an enormous amount of waste of resources, but also creates a lot of debris in space.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
There's plenty of stock ready for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. We'll start with tennis. 4 Aussies, including Alex de Minaur, have progressed to the second round at the Australian Open. Andy Murray may have played for the last time at Melbourne Park, however, after losing his opening round match.
There's definite possibility that'll be the last time I play here, where I would like to, finish playing, and when that would be. I haven't made any definite decisions. It's obviously something that I need to think about.
South Aussie Thanasi Kokonakis is in action today. Isla Tomljanovic will be playing on John Cain Arena tonight. Let's go to cricket. Australia and the West Indies will have one final training session today ahead of tomorrow's first test at Adelaide Oval. Meantime, the Hobart Hurricanes have finished their BBL season with a 7-run win over the Melbourne Stars. Veteran Matthew Wade marked the occasion by notching up his 19th Big Bash half-century.
Gives himself room. Maxwell follows him. He punches it through point. This is a fine knock by Matthew Wade. Brings up a 50 off just 34 deliveries. His 19th Big Bash 50, and he just keeps getting the job done.
Audio there thanks to Fox Cricket. Let's go to soccer. Manchester City's been rewarded for its treble-winning season, dominating FIFA's World 11. 6 City players have made the team: Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Ruben Dias, John Stones and Kyle Walker. And it's late in the first quarter of the NFL wildcard playoff game between the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bills currently leading 7-0. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
In Elizabeth South, a broken down van with hazard lights on. That's on the Phillip Highway near Blake Road. Traffic lights are out in Flinders Park on Findon Road near Grange Road. Residual delays in Salisbury following a crash on the Salisbury Highway near Commercial Road. 2 are down under road closures in place in the city on Victoria Square between Grote and Wakefield Street. And check your speed South Terrace in the Parklands. At lunchtime, nothing beats a hot sausage roll for lunch. At OTR, you can get 2 for just $6. Traditional cheese and bacon and spinach and cheese. OTR, making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Jayco Adelaide's factory sale has a van for every budget, with savings up to $3,000. Hurry, ends Saturday.
Partly cloudy and 33 today, cooler tomorrow down to 24, partly cloudy on Thursday 25 and mostly sunny for Friday 30. At the moment 29. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Steinborner Automotive in Gawler, Norriutpur and Clare has always been well worth a trip, even more so with their 40th birthday sale. Steinborner has purchased over 400 certified vehicles, SUVs and 4x4s, all with free roadside assist, and ripped $500,000 off normal prices across the range with $1,500 trade-in bonus on all trade-ins. Plus deals on new and demo Hyundai, Ford and Mitsubishi. Visit steinborner.com.au.
What could change everything for you? For Jess, it was a unique spoon. For Ravi,
a remarkable pair of glasses. And for Graham, a wheelchair with a difference. Items that gave Jess, Ravi and Graham more independence. All discovered at the store that changes everything. What will you find at Novita Tech, Australia's largest in-store assistive tech experience? Now open at Hindmarsh or shop online at novitatech.com.au.
There's a lot to love about learning just about anything you want with WEA. Just name it. And remember, it's real-time face-to-face learning, so you'll always get answers to your questions. Find hundreds of courses at wea-sa.com.au.
Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
Well, the 24th Men's Tour Down Under gets underway at 11:10 this morning from Murray Street to Nunda. A breezy 144 Ks awaits the contestants in the first stage of a race now that has really captured not just the attention but indeed the imagination of South Australians. Not just because of its merits as a spectacle, but indeed too through the efforts of our next guest, the voice of cycling himself, Phil Liggett. Phil, good morning to you.
A very good morning to you.
Before we get to the men's race, the women's race has just been run and won. They included the Wollonga Hill climb this year too. Any passing thoughts on the women's stage this year, Phil?
Yeah, that concluded on Sunday on the old Wollonga Hill for the first time for the women. And it was a terrific race. The women's race has gone to a whole new level now. It was a 3-day race, but next year they're talking already of extending it to more days. The big field was full of outstanding women riders. And of course, it was a little bit of a fairy tale, to say the least, because Serta Giganti won after a couple of years of really quite serious injuries. And she thought even at 23, she was finished as a bike rider. But everybody stayed loyal to her. She stayed very loyal to her sponsors. And yesterday, or rather last Sunday, it was an unbelievable result for her. To ride away, put more than 30 seconds into the classiest field ever here, and she won on her own.
Yeah, fantastic result. Just looking through the stages. So we mentioned stage 1 from Tanunda that starts today. Then you've got Nord to Oberthal, Tea Tree Gully to Campbelltown, Murray Bridge to Port Elliot, Christie's Beach to Wollonga Hill with the big climb, Unley to Mount Lofty. Do you have a favourite stage of the Tour Down Under, Phil?
Well, it's got to be the last weekend as a group, I think, because after today's stage around Tanunda, it's a fairly well-known circuit. It could be one of the few days when the sprinters have their say. It's 144 kilometres, weather's good, and it should be a good race. And maybe Caleb Ewan, who missed out on the weekend's races last weekend because he was feeling the sun, seems to be okay, and he's back in the colours of Jayco. So we'll see. But at the end of the weekend, we're going up the same course finish as the women last Sunday, and that's on Wollonga Hill, and that's on the Saturday. And then on Sunday, we've taken and seem to have adopted Mount Lofty after last year, which provided us with such a great finish. And that was won by Simon Yates last year. Simon's back, and I guess we must put Simon amongst the favourites to win this race overall, and he might well win the last stage on Mount Lofty. But it's all about the last weekend.
This is probably the kind of question that you hate getting because you're an aficionado and I'm someone who puts it on and has to have you spoon-feed the information for me to understand all that's happening. But is there a stage of a tour that you generally find yourself getting most up and excited about? Do you like to see the sprint stages? Is it the climbs that you like, the really grueling parts that where the lighter-bodied guys have a chance? Is there a part of the flow of a tour, Phil, that you find yourself particularly getting really excited about?
As a commentator, I love calling a sprint finish of maybe 100 riders charging for the line and take the viewers into the peloton and try and work the tactics out and see the movement of the riders as the leaders, the pacemen look for their leaders to put them in the right place. It becomes extremely scary, and these guys just dice with crashes every inch of the way to the line. And it's very exciting as a commentator to call those. And it's a bonus if you get the winner right as well. So I feel good then.
Well, speaking of a winner, who do you think will win it this year?
Well, overall, for me, there are some outstanding riders here, of course, as there always are. This is the first round of the World Cup, the World Tour, rather, for the professionals. Simon Yates and his teammate could be his biggest rival, Luke Plapp, the Aussie. Luke won his third national title just 10 days ago now at Ballarat in Victoria. And he's only one of only 4 riders in the history of cycling in Australia to have taken that title 3 times in a row. And so he's good form. He's a young lad. He's got a great future. And he's a teammate of Yates, and they're good mates. So as the race unfolds over the first 3 or 4 days, if one of them happens to lose time for whatever reason, the other will automatically become the man to help try and win the stage. But they're going in as joint leaders of the team, and I think joint favourites to win the race.
Now, Phil, you just, as I mentioned right at the start, you do such a wonderful job calling the race for people that are aficionados and people who don't know a great deal about racing altogether. Yeah. I think everyone can get something out of that, and you've done such a wonderful job being an ambassador for the sport in its entirety. Last year, you celebrated your 80th birthday. I saw that, and I thought, no, there's no way. Phil doesn't sound like he's 80. That can't be right. But then I thought, well, how many more tours are we going to get out of you, Phil?
Hey, next year will be number 25, because I've done every year at the Santos. Yeah, 25 years I've done this race next year. And from the beginning, I helped them with the organisation in 98, and then in 99, the race got off the ground. And I've been every year since, apart from the COVID years when the race wasn't held. But, yeah, I can't believe where the year's gone. And unfortunately, I am 80. But, you know, I've been out and already cycled this week over 100 kilometres with the lads. So I don't feel 80. I'm acting like a kid all the time. That's the problem.
Maybe that's the secret.
Hey, you're as old as you feel. It's up to you. And I put cycling down to keep me on the right side of 80 as far as I'm concerned. Because the riders and the people in the street here come and talk to me. They almost fall flat on the face when I tell them, hey, you're talking to an old man here.
Yeah.
And they just can't believe it. Well, long may it last.
Absolutely.
It can't last much longer.
Well, you might have found the secret, Phil. That you may just.
Hey, I'll let you know on 120. Okay.
Yeah, please do. That'll be great. We're looking forward to that for the 54th Tour Down Under. Phil Liggett, great to chat. All the best, and have a great call over the coming week.
Lovely, thanks so much.
Yes, it all starts at just after 11 o'clock this morning. Here's the voice of cycling. Some sporting commentators just become synonymous with their sport in a way that transcends just the simple, noble role of calling the action. Phil Liggett's in that category. Just thinking off the top of our heads, other voices of sport, voices of their sport. I always think of Simon Hill as the voice of football in Australia. Sam Dado made a good point. One of our colleagues at Channel 7, John Casey, is the voice of basketball in Australia. Are there other people that are the voices of their sport? I mean, Phil Liggett. To hear a cycling race without Phil Liggett calling it would not feel like you're watching the same sport. It would feel like something entirely different. What an absolute legend. What a privilege to have him on 5AA Breakfast. But if you've got suggestions for other people that are the voices of their sport, we'd love to hear from you. And you could, in the process, as everyone who's participated in the program, be you commentating on that, commenting on your Dave Warner moment, or indeed about some of the things going on in federal politics, you're all in the running to win a $100 Unique Home-Styled Foods voucher this morning. You can get Unique pies, sausage rolls and donuts from your local independent supermarket. Unique. It's time for something better. Time to check traffic thanks to Novita Tech. They can support you to live more independently. The summer sale's on now. Visit novitatech.com.au.
In Elizabeth, south, a broken down van on the Phillip Highway near Blake Road. Traffic lights are out in Flinders Park on Finton Road near Grange Road. In the city, Tour Down Under road closures in place Victoria Square between Grote and Wakefield Street. Works continuing in Mount Osmond on Mount Barker Road. Speeds are at 40 both ways. And smile for the camera, South Terrace in the Parklands. Paradise Mazda's genuine huge stock clearance is now on. Be quick for your choice of 4 amazing bonus offers, plus free registration, CTP and stamp duty only at Paradise Mazda. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
On 5AA Mornings today, a call for more guards on trains after the alleged rape of a 12-year-old girl on a Seacliff line train last Thursday. And the Motor Trades Association calling for a point-of-sale inspection for second-hand cars sold throughout South Australia. I'm Matthew Pantelis. Look forward to you joining me from 9.
Hi, I'm Lynn Andrews. The Lynn Andrews team have seen a lot of change in real estate over the past 50 years. But one thing remains unchanged. our passion to help people invest in their future. To build strong property portfolios in either the residential or the commercial sectors. Our commitment to property investment over the years means we have a wealth of knowledge to share. We're here to help you. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
Tired of your rent and bills going up and up and up? Pump them down with EcoVantage. It's easy to switch your existing hot water system for an energy-efficient heat pump, even if you're renting. And thanks to federal and state government-facilitated subsidies, it could cost as little as $0. Start saving hundreds off your water heating costs. Hit up your landlord and ask for the EcoVantage switch. Visit ecovantage.com.au. T's and C's apply.
I was just doing my job. I didn't think I'd get injured.
The doctor said it was a routine procedure? Right.
The car came out of nowhere and it smashed right into us.
At DBH Lawyers, we're here to listen to your story. Our team of local South Australian lawyers will help you navigate the law and find the best way forward. We're with you. We're for you. We're DBH Lawyers. dbh.com.au.
At Coles, it's all sizzle and no fizzle. With Coles no added hormones beef sizzle steak, 400 grams, down to $11. Save $2. That's great value, hands down, at Coles.
Over 70 years, Meals on Wheels have delivered millions of meals. Meals on Wheels. Great food, great people.
5AA Summer Breakfast with Will Goodings.
11 to 9, we spoke with SAPOL a little bit earlier in the morning. They're investigating a situation where a primary school in Happy Valley was damaged by way of a whole stack of golf balls. The golf being such a big part of the case, they're actually speaking to local golf clubs to see if stuff was pinched to try and get a lead on who might have been responsible. Mitch Sariobsky for 7 News is at the scene covering the story. Mitch, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back, Mitch. What kind of damage was done to the school?
We're talking about 27 windows. 100 golf balls were found throughout the school grounds. It is where I'm standing at the moment. The windows have literally been obliterated. The damage is widespread right across the school. And no doubt, I spoke to the principal earlier. He thinks it's going to be in excess of, $30,000 in damage. And these vandals came in just before midnight last night. There were reports of banging noises heard within the grounds. Neighbours heard those, and then police were quickly on scene, but the vandals had gone. They've gone from classroom to classroom, smashing the windows, and it's incredibly disrespectful. This is a small school. We're talking just over 300. We're talking just over 300 students. And in fact, I went here when I was a child.
Oh, did you really?
I did.
Oh.
Went here about 20 odd years ago.
Oh, that must be sad to go back to the school that you went to see it smashed up by some morons. Did anyone? Is it going to delay the return to school?
It won't delay the return to the school. The damage is being fixed as of now.
Okay.
But it could take a week or so. The school principal, he told me earlier that it's not the first time this has happened. As many, a year ago, the same thing happened. Vandals came in and smashed the windows of the OSH building. But yesterday, they had someone break into a chicken coop in the garden and then throw eggs around. But what's even sad for kids, Will, is that one of the casualties of the attack is the school's award-winning garden. The students here, they've spent several years working on it, and now it's ruined it. Won a award with council, the best school garden in Onkaparinga back in November, and the damage is just devastating.
What a pack of drop kicks. So I just wanted to be clear on that point, Mitch, because that wasn't clear in the SAPOL report. This is so people went onto the school grounds and this is not people striking golf balls from a distance, aiming at the school.
No, people have gone into the school grounds, grabbed golf balls and thrown them at 27 windows, 100 golf balls. Police are still investigating, though, where these golf balls came from. There are some local golf clubs, one in Happy Valley, another one in Flagstaff Hill, and they're also investigating, how, like I was saying, how they got those golf balls in the beginning.
We'll hope they find them. And you being on, Mitch, nice little advertisement for a school that might feel like it needs it this morning as well. Great to chat with you, mate. We'll see the report tonight on 7.
Thanks, mate.
Mitchell Sariovsky from 7 News at the scene of the Happy Valley Primary School that was attacked by some pretty inconsiderate and moronic vandals. Getting some good calls on 8223 John in Ascot Park's on the line. John, we just spoke with the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett. You got another nomination for a voice of their sport.
Well, in fact, while I'm waiting, I have two. First one is Murray Walker for F1.
Oh, of course, yes.
Unmistakable. And also, I don't know if you remember, well, you're old enough to remember Darryl Eastlake.
Yeah.
Voice
of what wide world of sports.
Exactly. How he never had a stroke when commentating, I've got no idea. But he's a classic.
Yeah, absolutely. I like those nominations, John, especially Murray Walker. He's probably a bit in that Phil Liggett vein. It was hard to imagine what would Formula One sound like in the absence of Murray Walker. And, of course, it carries on. You've got Martin Brundle now, and you've got the terrific team. They do a wonderful job. But in the moment, it's hard to imagine what the sport will sound like. Scott from Modbury, good morning.
G'day, Will. How did you know it was summer when you were a kid? Soon as you heard Bill and Tony arguing.
Oh, that's a good one. Sam Dado, I think he's been storing up the Bill Laurie's greatest got him hits for that particular moment. Thank you, Scott. You just made Sam's dream come true, getting us to play that. Speaking of cricket, lost stuff has been a subject of conversation this morning. Doing a Dave Warner, who claimed he'd lost his baggy green, or indeed the allegation was stronger than that. It wasn't that it was lost; it was that someone had ferreted through his bag and pinched it. Turned out it was just in another bag. Carla and Mitcham, have you done a Dave Warner, Carla, or did you genuinely lose something?
I genuinely lost something, but it's because I'm always doing Dave Warners. I'm always putting things in safe places, not to be seen again for a very long time. So when I lost my wedding ring, my engagement ring, and another diamond ring my husband had given me for Valentine's Day, I spent 4 years looking for them before I admitted that I really lost them. And then I felt it was too late to apply for insurance.
Oh, no. So you were so terrified of doing a Dave Warner that you didn't say anything about them being missing.
That's right.
Oh, that's heartbreaking, Carla.
I was sure I couldn't possibly have thrown them out. I think what happened is I was washing dishes, put them in my pocket, and threw them out with tissues or something. That's the only possible explanation I can come up with.
Did you replace them in some way over the ensuing years?
It's now been 10 years, and no, because as far as I'm concerned, they're irreplaceable. I could get them copied, but it wouldn't be the same.
Well, you're speaking to someone who also lost their wedding ring, Carla, so I know the pain of it.
I'm not the only one.
No, it's a horrible feeling, isn't it?
But our marriage has lasted 54 years, so
there you go.
Losing the ring doesn't matter, Will. You'll still be good.
That's a lovely call, Carla. Great to speak to you. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Bye.
Glenda in Fairview Park has called in. Morning to you, Glenda.
Good morning. Yes, I think Bruce McAvaney for any race, whether it be horse racing, swimming, athletics, I think he is the voice that we all would recognise.
Yeah, you probably could have attached him to a number of sports and you'd say, fair enough. You're absolutely right about that, Glenda. One of my absolute favourite sporting commentators ever, and he's just just a wonderful human being as well. It's a terrific nomination, Bruce McAvaney. I mean, I would say if I had to pick one sporting thing that he's the voice of, to me, he's the voice of the Olympics. He's the voice of certainly athletics at the Olympic Games as well. Tony from Montague Farm on the text line says Martin Tyler was the voice of the Premier League, without a doubt, Tony. I knew someone would nominate Martin Tyler before long. Brenton in Fullerton makes this point about Phil Liggett. He says, well, you're correct in stating the importance of associating commentators to sports. For me, the appeal of the Tour de France has significantly reduced since Phil Liggett is no longer part of the coverage in Australia. Thank you for that, Brenton. Gab says, what about the great man Ray Warren, Rabs, the rugby league commentator? I think a lot of South Australians, they might say, they'll not be as familiar with Ray Warren's work. He did some other commentary. He did the swimming, didn't he, Ray Warren? So I reckon this part of Australia will be probably perhaps better known for that, but certainly for league fans, Ray Warren absolutely will be associated forever with that particular sport. And as I say, with Phil Liggett, as I was talking to him, I thought, a bit like Brenton with the Tour de France, does the sport feel the same in their absence? They find new people, but in the moment, they just feel so important as both advocates and indeed contributors to your enjoyment of the sport. And we probably should set Phil Liggett a little bit aside in this conversation, because his contribution is certainly to the Tour Down Under, as we spoke about in our chat about 15 minutes ago now, goes beyond simply calling the sport. I mean, the man was involved in actually setting up the Tour Down Under. So he's both the voice and indeed a hugely important person in terms of the sport and how it's grown here in South Australia. 2 to 9, we've got the $100 unique homestyle foods voucher to give away. Get unique pies, sausage rolls and donuts from your local independent supermarket. Unique, it's time for something better. We have had so many good contributions to the show this morning, but I think we're going to give it to a more recent contribution. Carla, who just told the story of the lost wedding ring. Maybe it's because I lost mine, so I know the pain of it. And certainly the $100 worth of sausage rolls won't replace the feeling of the lost ring, but at least it'll make you feel better. So, Carla, you've got the $100 unique Homestyles food voucher coming your way. Thank you for calling in. Enjoyed chats with everyone this morning and all your wonderful contributions on the text line and via the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream as well. Stick around. Matt Pantelis is coming up, and I'll be back tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock.
Still thinking about a sea change? Think Oakford Homes and Counter Bay. New stage released and selling fast. A variety of